Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, January 29th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, some turbulent times right now for the Trump administration. But you got to give them credit. They put on a good face. And Trump is the king of branding. He really knows his base. As long as they brand anything Trump, then it's great. And so we're going to talk about what happened with the announcement and the presentation of the Trump accounts yesterday, and then what happened today. And I tell you, I feel like a fool because I didn't take my own advice. So we properly called what was going to happen, and then we didn't take our own advice. So we'll talk about that. But here's the turbulent times we're discussing. Latest polls come out, and we're always looking at polls. I'm more of a human intelligence type of person. What are people around me saying and thinking? But polls have some value. At least in D.C., they respond to them. And the polls are not good. Approval rating, not good. Economic polling is probably the worst. So you're dealing with that ahead of the midterms, where if the Democrats win, it's going to be a nightmare. And now you've got this war with Iran that's building up again. You've got to deal with the different military assets and strategy in that region again. So that makes it a little difficult to handle the economy when you're dealing with more foreign war in the Middle East. So he's got that going on, not to mention trying to handle all of the domestic issues with the deep state, the illegal spying, now the 2020 election. So we're dealing with all of this at the same time. Now you've got the ICE protests, you've got 2 dead protesters, and you will probably get a government shutdown. Now, depending on how difficult the Democrats want to be with this, will tell us whether or not this is going to be a real big shutdown or not. And we all know the government shutdown is fake. It's not a real shutdown. And they shut down the things that mostly just affect, welfare recipients, maybe some museums. But for the most part, the government shutdown is really ineffective as far as shutting down the government. So we actually would support a government shutdown if it was the real deal. But it looks like the Democrats are going to shut it down, at least for the weekend. And if it's all about ICE funding, then we're going to talk about something the Trump administration did last year, I guess, in anticipation of this happening. And so the Democrats might not have the leverage that they think they have as far as the shutdown is concerned. But we'll get to that. We got a lot of news here. We got weather news. The weather is impacting the show today. We'll tell you about that. Economic news. There's a new twist in the Ghislaine Maxwell story. We'll have that for you. Would you trust a automatic driving car? It's all the rage now. We got a little automatic driving car news. So we'll have that for you. We got statements from Tom Homan. Tom Homan said some things today that are extremely revealing, and I'm amazed that they didn't get the attention. These clips didn't get the attention, or people didn't understand what he was communicating. So we'll shed light on that. We do have a statement. Trump at a cabinet meeting today. Not too much came of that, but we do have something. We do have something on that we'll get to. We got a lot of news. We're going to try to get to it all. A lot of news today, and we're going to have a guest, an expert on the Georgia 2020 election fraud. So we'll talk a little bit with him in the second hour, what he anticipates, if anything, is going to come from this raid of the stored ballots that we saw yesterday, the FBI raid, Tulsi Gabbard on site. Is this the real deal, or is this another buildup for another letdown?
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, pet lovers, listen up. Pet lovers, listen up. Here's the deal. We've heard a lot about ivermectin and how effective it is. Parasites, worms with humans. But what about with your pets? Now, parasites, worms, this is probably something you've thought more about with your pets than with you. But what about using it for your pets to deal with these things? For years, we've been fighting for access to medicine that we know would help us, ivermectin. But what about our pets? Did you know ivermectin for pets assists with heartworm prevention in dogs and cats? Also treats intestinal worms like roundworms, hookworms, and external parasites like mites. So that's why our friends at RESOVX.Health bring you PetMectin. PetMectin is 100% pure pharmaceutical grade, human grade ivermectin. This is the highest quality, third-party tested, and most affordable ivermectin offered in the USA. Go to RESOVX.Health on the screen, spelled RESOLVX for our listening audience. Want to make sure you understand that. So resolve without an E, RESOVX.Health. And you can use coupon code OWEN10 right now for an additional 10% off. You heard that correct. Coupon code OWEN10 for an additional 10% off. And while you're there, you can also find some of their other incredible products that they tried to keep off the market, like hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and so much more. So they're really excited about this product. And if you do have pets, you love your pets, you want them to live long, healthy lives. And a lot of that process is dealing with the worms, dealing with the parasites. And a lot of times these things can rack up some pretty heavy bills, right? You know about that. That's why we have PetMectin for you. 10% off with coupon code OWEN10 at RESOLVX.Health. So you're hearing this, your dog, your cat, you're thinking, do I need to address parasites? Do I need to address worms? If you do, go to RESOLVX.Health and try PetMectin, 10% off with coupon code OWEN10.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, how are we doing today? You may be able to hear it in my voice, but I am not doing hot. We are struggling through it today. When the weather in Austin goes from 70 degrees to 20 degrees back to 70 degrees in the matter of a week, it just messes me up. It just messes me up. So I probably sneezed 100 times today. I've got the congestion issues going on, the fatigue, whatever this seasonal distress is. It's hammering me. I don't know what, I woke up this morning, it just hammered me like a blanket. So a lesser host would take the day off, I have to say. A lesser host would be taking the day off, claiming a sick day, but we don't do that here. We're not doing that here. And we should be fine. I think we'll be fine tomorrow. Usually I get these seasonal distress things when we have radical weather changes like this. 24, 48 hours. So we should be fine. But if you're wondering why the voice sounds a little off, or if I sneeze 30 times during the transmission, that's why. It's kind of frying my brain a little bit too for some reason. It's like maybe when you're dealing with this stuff, you lose some of that attention, whatever this magical system that is our body, that is our existence, that is our consciousness. It's like you lose some of the energy up here, and then it's dealing with the other seasonal distress issues. So it's a little bit of brain fog today. So just bear with me, if you will. All right, we do have the guest at 4:00 Central in the second hour today. And actually, I need to ask my producer to do something for me. Producer DMT, can you do me a favor? Can you text me the show invite link so that I can handle that on my phone? I can't deal with it all on my computer right now. It'll disrupt the transmission. So if you would, please text me the guest link, the guest invite link. If you would just send that to my phone so I can forward that on, that would be a big relief for me today. Producer DMT, please handle that. Thank you. Okay. Now, Trump had a cabinet meeting today. It was mostly kind of inconsequential, not too much developed from that. I was more concerned with, let's say, some of the things that Tom Homan said when he was addressing the press. I don't know what it is. I'd like to think, and maybe there is an element of truth. Take it with a grain of salt. Consider my massive ego. But I feel like my attention to detail is extremely, it's like peaked. Like my attention to detail is like as high as it goes. And I notice this all the time. Like I'll see the little details and things that nobody else will see. But I'm really mostly talking about like stuff in movies and random stuff out in public, whatever. But no, this Tom Homan press conference, he said some things and it's just like, do you hear what he just said? Specifically, and we already knew this was going on, specifically when it comes to local law enforcement dealing with illegal aliens. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, how does that happen? Because as somebody who's been through the system, that would never happen with a citizen. No, in fact, it doesn't even matter. You could be low security, high security. Just ask the January 6th prisoners. Whenever they're going to transfer a prisoner, I mean, folks, the process is painstaking. You don't get any leeway. There's no release factor. You're in cuffs, you're in chains, maybe double chained up the entire time. And then you hear Homan, he's talking about, oh yeah, well, local law enforcement, they just release them out on the streets and then we have to go get them again. Now, we already knew this was going on because we saw the videos. I think it was Colorado specifically, I believe it was Denver, where ICE shows up to make an arrest and the jail just releases them out on the streets and they just run away. And then ICE is chasing them around and it's like, what? Why didn't you hand them over in cuffs? I've never seen or heard of that ever before when it comes to a transfer. So we'll look at that. But now concessions are being made. Now before we get into the headlines, let me do two things. Let me address what happened with the Trump accounts overnight. And let's talk about the concessions now with ICE and this looming government shutdown. And you have to actually give President Trump credit because he did play a genius move here. And some people knew it at the time, but they didn't want to say it out loud because you didn't want to let the Democrats know your move. But the Trump administration anticipated that the Democrats would try to shut down the government, specifically when it came to deportations. And they knew they weren't going to cooperate. So the last time they had the bill, and you may remember this debate, it was part of the bill. The Trump administration has already funded ICE and the deportation efforts through 2026. They already have the funding. They already secured the funding with the last omnibus bill, the last spending bill. So when the Democrats, they're going to get in front of the Capitol. They're going to make a big fuss, and they're going to talk about how they're not going to vote for any bill that funds ICE. Well, it really doesn't matter. The Trump administration has already secured funding for ICE through 2026. So they don't need the funding. They already have the funding. Now, I don't think the Democrats are going to let a good opportunity to step in front of the cameras and bloviate go by. They're certainly going to do that. The question is, do they really want to commit to the shutdown? And so do they want to do some political grandstanding? Do they think it's going to be good for them in the midterms, or do they want to wave the white flag, do a temporary shutdown, and then announce next week, okay, we've reached a deal? But they already have it. The ICE already has the funding. This is the Trump administration does not need the money. Now, Republicans are kind of coming out like, oh, we don't want to see a shutdown, and Trump doesn't want to see a shutdown. So you've kind of got the normal rhetoric around this stuff, which is all garbage. It's not a real shutdown. The tyranny doesn't stop. The taxing doesn't stop. The corruption doesn't stop. The waste, fraud, and abuse doesn't stop. So it's not even a real shutdown. But this is what's going to happen. They'll probably do some sort of ceremonious shutdown. The Democrats will grandstand, and they'll say, we refuse to fund ICE that is killing people in the streets. Now, logical consistency be damned, as when we hear from Tom Homan later, the Democrats don't give a damn about people dying in the streets. So let's just stop. Now, they've got an opportunity here because this is what they wanted. They've got an opportunity here to make Trump out to be the bad guy and ICE out to be the authoritarians and everything else, because they've got 2 dead protesters in the streets, which is exactly what they wanted. That was the plan. They wanted to send the useful idiot liberals out there in hopes that one of them would die, so then they could martyr them, grandstand, fundraise, and turn it into their big issue for the midterms. So that's what they're going to do. So I anticipate they'll do some grandstanding. They'll do some ceremonious shutdown over the weekend, and then they'll decide, and maybe they'll just see which way the wind blows over the weekend. And then they'll decide whether or not they actually want to shut the government down or not. Now, I kind of think, knowing the Democrats, I think they probably want to shut the government down. Knowing the Democrats, knowing their philosophy, knowing their history, I think they probably want to shut the government down. The only issue they could run into is there might be some Democrats that think it's bad for the midterms. There might be some Democrats like John Fetterman in the Senate who say, hey, we need to support ICE. This is actually popular. Let's not stand against ICE. This is not good for politics right now. So they could run into a numbers issue and then not want to embarrass themselves by not looking unified. But no, I'd say the odds are they shut down the government and maybe even it sticks. I could see that happening. Because they really want to grandstand over these ICE killings. They really want to fundraise. And they really want to use that momentum into the midterms where, quite frankly, they already have the momentum. So I think that that's what's going to go on. I do think that's what's going to go on. Now, the Trump accounts yesterday, and I can't believe it, and it's probably because I was on air. I can't trade when I'm on air, and I don't like doing, you can set trades and do overnight trading and stuff, but I don't really like doing that because I like to wait till the markets are open. But anyway, I called it yesterday. I said, this is nothing but a pump and dump for all of Trump's donors, this Trump accounts deal. And then sure enough, what happened today? Stocks went down 5 to 10%. So they announced the Trump accounts yesterday. A bunch of money comes in. You get a 5 to 10% boost. They sell high. Then it goes down 5 to 10%. All the new people that just got in, the Trump accounts, you just lost 5, 10%. And then they rebuy again, and then they'll get another 10%. It's just another pump and dump. It was literally another pump and dump. Honestly, I hear Ted Cruz talk about this, and I'm like, how is this even legal? Now, we showed you on the Trump accounts website yesterday, on the bottom, in the fine print, it says these results are not guaranteed. It says these results are based on averages and these results are not guaranteed. So in other words, if the stock market collapses or the dollar collapses, these Trump accounts are going to be worthless. They won't be worth anything. Now, if the stock market quadruples by the year 2040, then yeah, okay, then there you go. Now you've done well. But I can't believe it. I even called it right here on the show. I said this is exactly what's going to happen, and then it did, and I lost. I lost today. So I do anticipate it'll go back up. But that, folks, that's what they did. They just fleeced 10%. And you know, for somebody out there that's got a couple thousand, you know, maybe 10, 20,000 in the stock market, it's like, well, you're not making life-changing money. You're just trying to get a better return on some cash that wouldn't do so well in the bank. Folks, it was a big pump and dump. The Trump accounts announcement was a pump and dump, and they did it. They did it. It was so obvious. They injected, so they did the big, it was all a marketing pitch. It was all a sales pitch. They did it yesterday. They got their 10% boost. And then they sold, and then it went right back down, and now they're going to buy, and then they're going to get another 10%. So when you've got $1 million in the stock market or $100 million in the stock market, and by the way, and look, to the individuals that are donating to these Trump accounts like Michael Dell and the rest, I'm not going to hold judgment there. Let's assume the best. Let's assume they're doing it for all the right reasons. Let's just assume that. You can disagree with that, and that's perfectly reasonable. But let's just assume they do it for the right reasons. On the Trump accounts website, they all have that. All the companies are listed there, like it's a sponsored event, because that's what it is. And so they've got millions of dollars in the stock market. Now, you make 10% in a day, that's $100,000. So that's what they did, folks. All the donor class, the special interest class, Wall Street. They just did. Trump just gave them a 10% pump and dump. I mean, it's so obvious. I can't believe it. I should have taken my own advice. I should have dumped everything after it bumped yesterday, but I didn't. I lost. That's okay. It'll come back. But that's what they did. And then they're going to double down, because once it goes down, then they buy low and it goes back up. So that's what I'm saying. When you follow this stuff, I almost get to the point where I'm not saying there's not insider trading that goes on in Congress. I'm not saying that. And it's certainly a hub of corruption when you have the inside intel and you have a vote on some of these issues that you can get ahead of the trends. But all I have to do, I'm not an insider. I'm not in Congress. I don't get any secret information. All I have to do is follow the news and see what goes on at the White House, and you can beat the markets. You can beat 50% all day long, because the whole administration right now is all about fleecing the markets, giving all the millionaires and the billionaire donors that are big in the stock market, big into Wall Street, and just letting them amass as much cash as they possibly can so that they can just buy capital, buy land, buy resources, buy assets, because they're going to probably collapse the dollar. And that's probably what this whole gold rush is all about. But I'll just pump the brakes right there, so that we don't get too lost into these weeds. But it was crazy It was just crazy watching that. And I just felt like such an idiot. I just felt like such an idiot because I said that that exact thing was going to happen yesterday on the show when we were covering it, and then it did, and I didn't even take my own advice. So that's all right. Crypto's down. What are we thinking about crypto? I'm looking at the whole crypto thing differently today too, I have to tell you. You have to, folks, you have to answer these questions if you're asking it yourself. Yeah, but I am saying, okay, what do the elites know? And why do they do what they do? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why is it gold is going up? Why is it silver is going up? Why is it that the dollar is going down? Why is it that crypto is going down? Why is it that the stock market is going up? And so you have to measure all these things. And the whole, all of them hang out in D.C. now. All of them hang out with the administration. They're all in it together. They're all in cahoots. What do they know? What do they know? What are they planning? Is it that they know something that we don't know and they're acting accordingly? Like, I don't know, a cataclysm is coming? Is it that now that they're all in bed with Trump, they can basically manipulate the markets, make out with as much cash as possible, put it all into assets so that when the dollar collapses, they're ready to go no matter what? Are they about to do a financial reset and go back into gold-backed currencies? Were all of these crypto markets just another scam as the dollar is collapsing to get you to invest in some digital currency that's sold as anti-establishment, off-grid? So you put all your money in crypto and then they just rug pull it? These are the questions I'm asking. And really, beyond politics, forget about the politics of it. It's like you kind of want to be prepared. You don't want to lose when all of this stuff goes down. You don't want to lose when the global elites decide they're going to rug pull you. You don't want to be on the losing end of that. And most people will be. But that's because most people are, looking at who's playing in the Super Bowl and who's not. So I don't want to be on the losing end of that. I don't want you to be on the losing end of that. All right, let's look at some of these polls here. And there's a lot to try to get to here. I'm going to jump around because this Fox News story just gets a little, there's too much sauce here. So we're going to move around here. But Fox News poll, Donald Trump starts 2026 with 44% approval. Now this is the highest number you're going to find. Most other polls have Trump in the upper 30s. So I'd say the real approval rating, when you weigh them all out, I'd say Trump's real approval rating is probably about 40%. Maybe that's probably the high mark. 38% probably the low mark. But I think that's probably your real. I think that's your real number. It's about 38 to 40% on any given day. But this is a Fox News poll, very favorable for Trump. You look at the rest of the polls, they're usually around 36%. So you kind of average it out. You're looking at about 38, 40%. And if you think about the midterms, it's not the worst you could do. But I don't think that Trump will get people to show up for a rally. Trump can get people to show up for a rally, no doubt. And he might be able to influence some of these primaries in candidates that the donor class favors versus the independent candidates. But I don't really think it moves the larger needle for Republicans. I don't think it gives the Republicans the boost in the midterms that they think it does. Nearly 6 in 10 Americans believe economy is weak under Trump. And so, again, you go into these stories, they just get lost in the sauce. It's just there's too many numbers they're throwing at you. 6 in 10 believe economy is weak under Trump. I'll give you the critical number here in a second. Trump is troubled by 2 difficult obstacles in 2026. They may get into it here. Again, these stories, they just throw all these numbers at you. So you kind of get lost in it. Here's the important number. It's going to be about the economy. It's all going to be about the economy. And I think where they get that 6 in 10 number, the actual number, 54% of Americans say they are worse off today than they were a year ago. So really, you're hovering about 50%. So about half of people think they are worse off financially today than they were when Trump took office. Those aren't exactly winning numbers. Those are not exactly winning numbers. Now, you can still recover. You've got months for the economy to get better. And it might. I think energy prices could go down. The tariff decision is going to be pretty crucial as far as the consumer price index is concerned. And it could end up making or breaking the election. And normally with these things, when the Supreme Court looks at an issue and they think the timing of it, whatever their opinion might be, they look at the timing of it and they say, we don't want the Supreme Court to determine the outcome of an election. And so they'll kind of balk. They'll delay. They'll basically do anything to hold off their decision because they don't want their Supreme Court decision to affect an election outcome. And maybe that's why they haven't come out with their decision on tariffs yet. But I do think that's the case. I think that the outcome of the tariff decision could be one of the biggest factors in determining who will win and lose in the midterms. And I think the Supreme Court, as historically it has, looks at that and says, we don't want to be involved in that. We don't want our decision here to determine an election, which really just makes things worse for Trump. I think Trump would probably rather have the decision now, even if it's not in his favor, because if they hold this thing back, it just the mess of it just gets worse. But then again, what do you think the Republicans are thinking about the most? I don't think the Republicans really care if they maintain a majority or not. I got to be honest. I don't think they care. The only thing that matters, I think, to the administration right now is if the Democrats get the majority, forget about policy. If the Democrats get the majority, they're going to impeach Trump. It doesn't even matter what the policies are. They're going to impeach Trump. And in the process, do anything else they can to stall the administration's agenda. I think that's all that matters right now to the administration. I don't think Republicans give a damn if they win or lose the House. I don't think the Trump administration is too concerned about policy outcomes, whether or not they control the House or the Senate or not. I don't think any of that matters. I don't think they're thinking about that. All they're thinking about is, if the Democrats win, we're going to have to deal with impeachment and any other ways that they can try to stall this administration from having policy success. I think that's all that really matters. And, this go around is not going to be as good. I have to say. I'm not so sure, because in the first Trump administration, their 2 impeachment efforts were obviously fake, obviously phony. They had no real standing. And so ultimately they didn't succeed. And in that process, it was just the process as the punishment. It was all about dragging them through the process, putting out the headlines, Trump impeached, using that for the presidential election, impeached, twice impeached. So it was all about headlines, and it was all about the processes, the punishment in the first administration. This administration, impeachment might be a little more serious. I think it'll be a little more serious. When you talk about the strikes in Venezuela without congressional approval, that's just one issue. I could see the second administration dealing with some serious impeachment issues. Not like the first administration that was fake and for headlines. This second administration, you might actually be dealing with some real stuff. But hey, Trump doesn't want us or need us anymore. Hey, I'm sure somebody out there will stand up for you during the impeachment trials, Trump. I'm sure somebody, but you've insulted me now personally, directly, whether you realize it or not. So I guess it won't be me. Now we're gonna have a guest on. I'll tell you his name. Garland Favorito. Let me pull him up here in a second. So he was on the ground in 2020. Voters Organized for Trusted Election Results in Georgia is the group he's with. So we're going to get his take here in about 20 minutes on what just went down in Georgia. Now, I don't want to get too ahead of this, but you guys are probably with me. We've noticed this pattern where we get this big buildup. We get this big buildup on a singular issue, and then we get almost no results. I think the Minnesota fraud is probably the most glaring at this point. But that seems to be the trend. It's like they do this big buildup, and then we anticipate mass arrests, and then it just doesn't happen. And I think I said that about the Minnesota fraud. Like, is this the moment that makes or breaks, whatever is left of this MAGA coalition? Is this the moment that breaks it, where if they don't deliver on mass arrests, then people are finally going to look up, get their head out of Trump's ass and say, okay, hold on a second now. Well, that's yesterday's news. So now it's all about Georgia. Now they're going down there. They're getting the ballots. I don't know what it is they're looking for. We'll get into that in a second. But some interesting surrounding, atmospheric stuff happening here. Dinesh D'Souza, I am waiting for the roof to be blown off on this, talking about the 2020 stolen election. Now, of course, Dinesh D'Souza did the 3,000 Mules documentary, which very conclusively proved that there was massive mail-in voting fraud. And that's just one aspect of it, by the way. That's just one aspect. But yes, he did that. And he even had people that were part of the documentary, and he sat them down, 2,000 mules, 3,000 mules, whatever it is. And he sat them down, and at the beginning of it, they said, no, I don't think there was any election fraud. And then at the end of it, they had changed their mind, and they said, okay, Dinesh D'Souza, you've changed my mind. So, that's one aspect, the mail-in ballot fraud, that they caught him. They caught him. I don't know if that's what they're going after here. The only thing I could really see happening is that they're going to realize that they had more votes than voters, and that they were double and triple counting votes in Fulton County to steal the state for Joe Biden. That's what I anticipate. We'll see what Favorito says. But then Ed Martin, who's one of the good guys, I will tell you, shares a picture with himself and Sidney Powell. Now, Sidney Powell was all over the 2020 stolen election. She said she was going to release the Kraken, and then there was all the drama and the fallout. Ed Martin shares this. Sidney Powell reshares it. So Martin and Powell are now working together. Now, here's my issue, if you want to call it that. Ed Martin is really about close to one of us as it gets in D.C. He's one of us. He wants stuff to be done about the corruption. He does have a role there. And I don't want to mischaracterize things, but it's like, folks, why do you think Marjorie Taylor Greene left Congress? It's like when you're 1 versus 100 and nobody else wants to do what needs to be done and nobody else is on the same team trying to pull us across the finish line, it becomes at some point a fool's errand or an impossible task. Now, Martin is still around, and he's trying to maintain hope. And I do think he's one of the few good guys. But folks, I've been hearing this stuff for months, and nothing ever happens. And that's my problem. And when it does happen, I'll be celebrating. And, I even find it funny, and I wasn't going to get into this, but since we're here, I might as well. Well, I really don't want to. But it's like this. Who was it that led 3 Stop the Steal rallies in D.C.? Who was it that did a 18-state tour with a whole presentation showing all the election fraud that Trump took line for line and then did from the White House? The answer is me. The answer is me and InfoWars and Alex Jones. That's who did that. Okay? So when it comes to the people that were there on the ground and suffered the most for it in the stolen election, it was Alex Jones. It was Owen Schroyer. That is just a fact. And so when I see all of these people now, and they're attacking Alex Jones, and they're attacking Owen Schroyer, and they're saying, see black pillars? I'm not going to say what I really want to say because I already determined I didn't want to even talk about this today. So I'm gonna back off. But I just think it's funny. Because all of you guys that are talking all this junk on Alex Jones and on Owen Schroyer, and hey, everybody knows Alex and I aren't exactly getting along right now. It's not like that's some secret. I don't care. I'm here to tell the truth. Alex Jones did more to try to expose and stop the 2020 stolen election than all of you combined. And you guys want to sit here and you want to talk trash on Owen Schroyer and Alex Jones, say, oh, they're black pillars. Oh, they're not true MAGA. None of you were there in 2020. None of you. I didn't see you at one of our 3 Stop the Steal rallies. I didn't see you at one of our 18-stop tour where we showed all the data that proved the election fraud. I didn't see you get sued. I didn't see you get imprisoned for standing up against the stolen election. And now you want to sit here and rub yourselves off like you're the champions of stopping the steal, like you're the champions of exposing election fraud? You guys are such phonies, man. You are such frauds. You are such cowards. And quite frankly, you're what's wrong with Republican politics. You're why Republicans can never win multiple election cycles in a row, because you are the biggest frauds, the biggest cowards, the most cringeworthy people in American politics. That it's like when we finally start to get momentum and win and get a populist movement that most people resonate with, then you guys fight your way to the front to pretend like it's your movement so that you can grift and make a bunch of money. You're never there when it counts, but you fight your way to the front when people get in power, and then they see you at the front and they see, oh, this is the leadership, this is the culture. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm out. And then Republicans lose. All right, I think I got my point across there. Said I wouldn't. I told myself I wouldn't even comment on that today, but I anticipate it might get brought up later anyway. So there you go. Hey, but I'm sure a war with Iran will be great. I'm sure a war with Iran will do good. Trump warns Iran time is running out for nuclear deal as U.S. military builds up in Gulf. They've got Iran surrounded. just like they had Venezuela surrounded, and Trump is threatening to Venezuela, Iran. But I don't think it'll be as smooth if they decide to move forward with something like that. Iran plans live fire drills in Strait of Hormuz amid tensions with U.S. IRGC naval exercises take place next week as worries grow of possible U.S. strike. Folks, I don't think those are exercises. I think they're saying they're exercises, but I think they're preparing for war. And if you really get deep into it, Iran is basically saying, and who knows, everybody bluffs, everybody saber rattles, everybody puffs their chest up. But Iran is basically saying anything that you do in Iran, we are going to strike Israel with everything we have. Now, I guess if you take their word for it, you have to measure it and say, okay, is Israel prepared to defend itself against Iran? And of course, the United States has given Israel about $50 billion and plenty more in military assets. After the first wave of the war with Iran, excuse me. I warned you that was happening. Oh, we're fighting through. After the first wave of war with Iran, Israel came back to the White House and was begging for more money, begging for more military defense assets because they were out. And as usual, America bailed Israel out again. So I don't know. They'll have to do the measurement of whether or not Israel is prepared to endure strikes on Tel Aviv or to endure another attack from Iran. If they figure that they are, then they might say, no holds barred, go in, do the regime change war. If Israel takes Iran's threats seriously and they say, we're not prepared for strikes from Iran, then that might hold them off. But I think that that's kind of the decision-making process about whether this is going to go down, let's say, this weekend or next month, which I guess is this weekend, but you get the point. Now, here's an interesting clip from Netanyahu that might be indicative of maybe they are anticipating. Listen to what Netanyahu says here.
First, I'm concerned and I said that I think we're in a very sensitive situation. And I think the last thing we need right now is elections. We'll have elections later on this year, but I think it's a mistake to have them now. And I hope that people understand that and act sensibly.
So Netanyahu wants to cancel elections. Just like Zelensky did. Zelensky is an illegitimate president. They haven't had an election. He's illegitimate. His emergency war powers have run out. But there's Netanyahu tipping his hat, showing his hand. We're going to cancel elections. Now, for Netanyahu, he's probably in some way, shape, or form afraid that he's going to eventually have to go to trial. I don't know if he's too concerned about the International Criminal Court, but I'm sure it's in the back of his mind. But he's awaiting trial in Israel. The Israelis want to see Netanyahu put in jail. So what better way to avoid all of that than starting a war with Iran or canceling elections, just like Zelensky did? So maybe pay attention to that. Maybe keep your eye out. That could be a big factor there. If they do start this war and then Netanyahu can cancel elections to stay in power, that could be another factor that could motivate the powers that be to start this war with Iran. So we will be monitoring that, obviously. All right, we are going to take our first hour break here. We're going to get our guest lined up as well to talk about what just went on in Georgia with Garland Favorito, and we'll see what he thinks. We'll see what he thinks is going on, or maybe he's got more faith in the situation than I. So we'll get that update on the other side of this break. I had a audience member reach out today, and it always means a lot because I am fortunate enough, I think I would say, I'm fortunate enough that I actually have friends and family that listen, and so they can give me live feedback. But I had a listener today reach out, friend of mine, said, finally got our CovePure system in. You're right. Best water filtration system out there. The only complaint, and I said this to him too, the only complaint about the CovePure system is I wish that I could have more. Like, I wish I could have a bigger tank, because I mean, this is the only water I drink in my house. So, you go through it pretty quickly. Maybe they need to have a bigger one. Maybe it's not exactly a small system, but like, maybe could you guys have a bigger one? Would that be possible? I need more CovePure water filters. Maybe that's the solution. Just get more. But no, folks, I'm telling you, it really is great when people reach out and support the sponsors, A. But B, they say, hey, you know what? You're right. This water filter is the real deal. I would never promote something that wasn't the real deal. So it just reassures that remains the truth. But no, this is. When I tell you that this is the best water filtration system that I've ever had, I mean it. When I tell you that it's right out of the future, I mean it. So try it for yourself. Try for yourself. You'll find out exactly what I'm talking about with the CovePure water filtration system. You can customize. This thing is from the future. You can customize how much water it disperses. You can customize the temperature of the water it disperses. As you can see in the image, it's got a nice picture there on the right-hand side of the digital display. The pitcher refills itself. So you can take the pitcher, pour the whole thing out into a water bottle or something, and then it refills itself once you put it back. It's the CovePure water filtration system. Take your water filtration to the future with CovePure. Go to CovePure.com/Owen.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining us now from Georgia, Garland Favorito. And Garland, you have been following this case since 2020. You've been following this case since the steel went down. Certainly yesterday was the biggest news that we've seen there in Georgia when it comes to the stolen election of 2020 in years. We can get into the details of it all. But why don't you just tell me, as somebody that's been on the ground for this entire thing since 2020, what did yesterday represent for you, and how are you feeling about it today?
Well, Owen, it represented 5 years, culmination of trying to simply just see the ballots that Fulton County had in the 2020 election. It's very simple. Every voter in America should be able to see the ballots from their election. And we have not been able to do that. We've been blocked by the county. We've been blocked by Fulton County judges. We've been blocked, or at least attempted to be blocked by the Secretary of State and even the Attorney General. So yesterday was a great relief that the ballots are now in the custody of someone that we could possibly trust to get to the bottom of what really happened in Fulton County in the 2020 election.
Okay, so the FBI goes in there. Tulsi Gabbard is there. They go into the storage facilities. I've got some of these clips. I'm not going to air them while you're with us here. We'll air them later. There does seem to be some level of panic from the local Democrats. It's hard to tell when to take them seriously or not, right? I mean, you never know. They panic over everything. They see something spray painted on a wall that's like, the warning of a gas line. They think it's a hate speech or something. So it's hard to tell when the panic from the Democrats is real or not. But there's no doubt they seem to be a little shaken. They seem to be a little shaken from all of this. Now, my anticipation, and if you agree or disagree, or if you think there's something else here, let my audience know. I'm not sure what exactly they're looking for. The only thing I can anticipate they're going to find with these ballots that they got yesterday is that there were more votes than voters in Fulton County, because they were double and triple stuffing them into the tabulators. That's my anticipation. Do you agree with that? And do you think that there's something else that they can discover here?
Well, that's exactly right, Owen. We already know from the electronic records that there were more votes cast than voters, and there were more votes cast or certified than what they have ballot images for and other source records. So the bottom line is that the results don't add up, and they know that. That's why they're in panic mode, because all this is going to be exposed, in the very near future. So I think you're right on target with that.
Now, I guess there's nothing that they can do, because people are saying, and I think it's a fair concern. People are saying, well, look, they've had 5 years to cover up their crimes. But I don't really know if there's anything they can do. They can't go back and change the results of the 2020 election. Like, we already have those numbers.
Right.
So it's not like they can change that. I guess maybe they could go into those boxes and add the number of ballots that they need to show their fake numbers were real. But I don't think that they'd be able to do that either, especially if they're going to try to certify each one. Might be a painstaking process. But what do you think that process is going to be? Do you think this is going to be a long, drawn out process? Is this something where the FBI and Tulsi Gabbard can present a case relatively soon? And how much are they cooperating with the efforts that you and others put in that time in 2020 to try to speed this thing up as quickly as possible?
Well, the state election board and both us, Voter GA, we've requested both civil and criminal intervention from the DOJ. And they have been very cooperative and have trying to get to the bottom of it. I would think we would know something very soon, because it doesn't take long if you got the right software to analyze the ballots, and they have already gotten a wealth of information about possible potential violations and corruption not only just in Fulton County, but even outside. So I'm sure they had all that on before they went in. They've got had already built their case pretty well, I think.
At the state level, how many Republicans were involved in certifying this steal and covering it up?
Well, the major players, of course, is Secretary of State Raffensperger, his assistant Jordan Fuchs, and the operations manager Gabriel Sterling. They were the three key players, and then they got help from the Attorney General, Chris Carr. Both Raffensperger and Carr now running for governor.
Oh, well, that's nice. I guess that would be a nice security blanket, I guess, if they thought that people might be looking at them again.
Right.
We obviously know about the Democrats that run Fulton County. We know that it seems as though, I mean, I guess I can't say for 100%, but it looks like the people that were on the ground and were running the operation in Fulton County ended up getting a nice prestigious award from Joe Biden. So we do know some of the players there. Are we anticipating people going to jail here?
Well, this is a criminal investigation. This is not a civil matter. So, the FBI came in. They are investigating it criminally, and there's certainly an overwhelming amount of evidence that would result in multiple indictments to multiple individuals. So, yes, I think you could I think it's almost a sure bet that several individuals will be indicted.
What is the buzz in Georgia right now? Is it all over the headlines? Is it all over the local news? Are people talking about this in the state of Georgia? Is it getting a lot of attention?
Yeah, it has, and it's gotten a tremendous amount of attention nationally. But the Democrats are trying to run cover for saying that this was illegal, blah 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 blah. So there's a lot of some media attention on that, on their claims to try to continue the cover up.
What type of? Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you, what type of reforms, you can talk about Georgia, that's where you're the expert, but perhaps it needs to be applied nationwide. What type of reforms do we need to see if indeed this all gets exposed, the giant elections theft that we saw in 2020, if it all gets exposed, what type of reforms would you like to see in Georgia and or nationwide?
Well, good question. So we've made tremendous reforms here in Georgia since the 2020 election. We are recognized as the leading state in fraud prevention, in election integrity legislation since that time. But the bottom line is that we still have to get rid of these voting machines. We have unverifiable voting system here in Georgia, and we need to move to hand-marked paper ballots with publicly recorded hand counts. That can be done if you keep your precinct small in 3 hours. It eliminates all the cybersecurity threats, all the costly machines, just tons of advantages. That's where we need to go, and we really need to get there by the primaries.
Yeah, well, definitely by the midterms. That might be that might be wishful thinking, but I think it might be a necessity to save the midterms potentially.
Right.
I asked you previously about cooperation. It sounds like they do understand. You guys have some awareness and some knowledge of this that they could benefit from understanding. We know that the FBI went in. We know that Tulsi Gabbard was there. Is the FBI leading this investigation? Who's leading this investigation? And if we're going to see justice, do you know where it's going to come from?
Well, I mean, I would assume that the FBI is leading it, the Department of Justice Criminal Division is leading it, since the FBI is investigating. And what's interesting is that Tulsi was there, which indicates there are some national intelligence considerations and possibly some foreign influence or implications that are beyond what we may know right at the moment.
All right, you bring up foreign. I was going to go there next. There's, let's say, conspiracy theories, rumors, saying that Maduro somehow had something to do with the 2020 stolen election, and that's why they brought him in to squeeze him and get him to cooperate. Is there any reality in your eyes to that? Have you heard anything about that?
Well, definitely, Owen. So what we have found is that in our forensic analysis and expert witness testimony here in Georgia corroborates that theory pretty well, because we found that in our case, the Dominion systems are all interconnected worldwide with a common shared password that's well known. And we know that from emails in the Patrick Byrne discovery case that Serbian programmers accessed the voting system here in Georgia in the 2020 election and the 2021 U.S. Senate runoff. So everything we have found here in Georgia is very consistent with what Patrick has found and others, Gary Bernstein and Ralph Pizzullo and Martine and so on.
Here's one thing, and this is kind of a general observation. They say Georgia's a purple state now, and the Democrats have had success in statewide elections. I think that is, if not entirely, mostly based off of voter fraud, specifically in the greater Atlanta area. Georgia, to me, is like one of the most red states in the country. How do Democrats win statewide elections?
Cheating. That's the bottom line. We said earlier that Fulton County has, probably 17,000 ballots at least that, votes that were counted with don't have ballots. The legislature here is very staunchly Republican. There's just a significant majority of Republican senators and legislators. So how do all of a sudden these things happen to have turned and flipped for the presidential and Senate races? It just doesn't make sense.
Do you anticipate your group, Voter GA, and all the different vote initiatives that you guys have been running in Georgia, do you anticipate you guys are going to be very active doing media and staying tuned as this investigation continues?
Well, we have been active and doing media for 5 years, so nothing's going to change there. We are keeping. We have to keep the evidence out front, so that the people not only in Georgia but around the country and even the world know what happened here in Georgia in 2020.
Do you think, other than the actual numbers not adding up, do you think in the ballots that have now been seized by the Trump administration, the DOJ, is there any evidence there that could be incriminating, like fake ballots, illegal votes, anything like that?
Well, so that's how this whole case started back in 2020. I was there when senior poll managers found counterfeit ballots in the 2020 audit. November 14th, they were mail-in ballots that were not folded from being mailed, not written with a writing instrument. They looked like toner copied, and they were not on the correct paper stock and voted the same way down ballot for dozens of races in a row. So we filed our lawsuit, equal protection due process violations on December 23rd of 2020, and we got the protective order on the ballots on January 6th of 2021, or 7th actually. And that protective order has lasted through many rounds of court cases until the FBI sees the ballots.
Are there any statute of limitations issues here?
Not that I'm aware of, Owen. There is I'm not really an attorney. I'm an IT guy. It's a good question. But I'm not aware of any, it's too late to redo the 2020 election, but I don't think it's too late to prosecute the felonies that may be involved here.
Well, and I'll just say, even if we do run into that issue, this still needs to be exposed. It has to be exposed how it was stolen, not just in Georgia. Georgia might be the most obvious case. It may be the easiest one to prove, and maybe that's why they went down there. But it needs to be exposed no matter what. Now, I would say we need a lot of arrests, and I would say we have to do everything possible to make sure that what happened in Georgia and what happened in 2020 never happens again. But like you said, you wonder if you're not in a race against time now to make sure this doesn't happen before the primaries or before the midterms coming up. Garland Favorito, our guest here. Any final words, any final things you want to make sure our audience knows before we let you go?
Well, I would like to send a shout out, and thank you to our volunteers. We're all volunteer organizations, and we've been doing this, lots of people, for 5 years. And it's been a battle, but we've never given up, and we refuse to give up. And a lot of credit goes to them. I wanted to thank them. If you go to voterga.org, you can find all the information, press conferences, and legal documents we've got out there. And there also is if you choose to donate, it's a 501c3. They're tax deductible, and there's a triple match going on. One of our generous donors is through Saturday. So that would be great if anybody chose to help us out.
Well, when it comes to voter integrity, when it comes to the general population understanding how rigged our elections are, and when it comes to 2020 stolen election justice, Georgia now has all the eyes on it. You've been on the ground since day one. We appreciate you joining us today and all the effort that you and your team has put in. Garland Favorito from Voter GA. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Owen. It's great to be with you.
We'll continue to maintain our coverage of this, folks. And like I said, I'm very results-based here in my coverage of these things. Very results-based. So I'm going to wait and see the results before we rush to any conclusions. But there is no doubt, I think Georgia was probably the most obvious steal. And you can look at the multiple states from 2020, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona. These were the obvious ones, but Georgia was probably the most obvious. So if they want it, if they want to show us how it was stolen, if they want to prove that the numbers in Fulton County were impossible, they can do it. And I hope that they do. But I think that here's the other issue that we run into. The general population has to understand what happened. You understand this. You follow politics. I understand this. We covered it at the time. It's like we know about the lie and the fake water main break. We know about how they went into the tabulation centers in secret and started triple counting ballots in the most blue counties in the state to up Joe Biden's totals. How do we get everybody to realize that? And then I guess what's even crazier is it's like you could even show all of this evidence to a Democrat and they still wouldn't even believe you. They still would tell you that that's not true. There shouldn't even be there should never be a Democrat victory in the state of Georgia. I mean, maybe in local Atlanta and some of the other counties, but how a Democrat gets elected to the Senate in Georgia in the U.S. Congress is just mind blowing, and probably not even real. Probably just straight up theft, as our guest was just explaining. All right, guys, I'm going to take a short break here. What do we have on the other side? Oh, our government wants to tax us more, specifically if you're in Virginia. So we got some government news. We got some weather news, a new twist in the Ghislaine Maxwell situation. And then we're going to hear from Tom Homan. I'm really looking forward to covering these clips from Tom Homan's press conference earlier today. So we're going to take a short break here. Yeah, if you guys want to dance, go ahead. Dance break, guys. We take a short dance break, and we will be right back on the other side.
Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right. We're really playing through it today. We're really playing through the seasonal distress today. It's all right. We're prepared. We can handle it. We will handle it just fine. I actually had to go. I've got 2 mugs here now. I had to go get some. I had to go get a handkerchief. That's fun. So just accept it. I had to go get some Blackout Coffee in the break. I need an extra boost. So went and got my Blackout Coffee. But I have to tell you, I'm not drinking the instant coffee today. Let me show you what I'm drinking today. Let me show you what coffee we're drinking today. Let me make a little recommendation for you from blackoutcoffee.com. Let's see. Let's pull it up. I'm on the single serve pods today. I hope this is in stock. If it's not, I'm going to feel bad for you teasing this. Boom. There it is. I'm on the double dark chocolate today. That's what I'm on today from blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. You know what's amazing about the double dark chocolate from blackoutcoffee.com? It's because you're like, okay, chocolate. I don't want hot cocoa. Like, I don't want it to taste like hot cocoa. I still want it to taste like coffee. They found the perfect balance. It has like the perfect subtle undertones of dark chocolate without overwhelming. So you're still drinking coffee, because you know how it is with some of these flavored coffees and everything. I don't like it. I like coffee. But it's like some of these flavored coffees and everything they put in them, it's like, it doesn't even taste like coffee. It just tastes like some overwhelmingly sugary processed drink, and I don't like that stuff. This has the perfect subtle undertones of dark chocolate. So that's why I'm drinking it today, the double dark chocolate. Yes, they do have the single serve pods. Yes, they do have the premium instant coffee. Yes, they have the bags of ground coffee or whole coffee beans. It's all at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen, the official coffee of the Owen Report. All right, let's get into a couple of these headlines, and then we're going to hear from Tom Homan. Allow me, if you would, though. I need at least one sip. All right. That's good. All right, let's get back to work. Okay. How's that trade deficit going? Let's see. Trade deficit soared 94% in November and was higher than a year ago despite tariff efforts. The U.S. deficit, with its global trading partners, nearly doubled in November as the shortfall with the European Union swelled. Oh, yeah, and now they're going to China. Following a month where the trade deficit hit its lowest level since early 2009, it shot up to $56.8 billion, an increase of 94.6 from October. The U.S. deficit doubled following a month where the trade deficit hit its lowest since early 2009. It shot up to $56.8 billion, an increase of 94% from October. Now, that's obviously other global leaders deciding they're going to do this to Trump. For whatever the reason, that's the decision. They decided they were going to put the screws to Trump. And it looks like most of it is out of Europe. Of that gain, about 1/3 came with the European Union, where the goods deficit rose by $8.2 billion. The goods deficit with China decreased about $1 billion to $13.9 billion. On a year-over-year basis, the deficit through November stood at $839.5 billion, or 4% higher than the same period in 2024. Now, I don't think it's fair to blame Trump for this. If you want to say the trade policies are not working or have failed so far, then that is probably fair to say. This is why I, call me whatever you want. I don't like names and all this stuff. It's whatever. Call me an isolationist. This is why. This is why people like me, small government, anti-government, anti-establishment, dissident right-wingers, this is why we land with these conclusions about isolation. Why? Why should we sit here and deal with the entire planet that wants to screw us over? Why? Why do the American people just have to accept that we have a trade deficit? And then it's like Trump comes in with a plan. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but he comes in with a plan. You can see the overall vision for the plan, which is, hey, we're either going to balance the books, we're either going to have equal trade, or we're going to make everything and manufacture everything and bring Made in America back. And that's how it's got to go. Now, how can you pull that off? Okay, there's your problem. There's your issue. Steel manufacturing is up. That's a good sign. But we're still heavily relying on foreign countries for goods and resources. But it's like, why? Why would we sit here and deal with the world that just expects us to take the loss? Why? And so we take a loss on trade. We send out all the military aid. We send out all the foreign aid. It's just a nonstop take. Everyone's on the take of the U.S. government, the U.S. taxpayer, the United States of America. Everybody's on the take. And I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of everybody being on the take. I'd like to be on the take. Or, better yet, I'd like you to stop taking from me at all. But that's the big game. That's the big enslavement of the American people. 30 to 40% of the money you make gets taxed. They send it to everybody on the planet. And then they aren't even gracious enough to say, hey, at least we'll have equal trade with you. At least we'll have equal trade with you. No, they won't even do that. No, they want more taxes. They want more taxes. Did you see this in Virginia? Oh, go figure. Virginia Democrats introduce flood of new tax proposals despite running on affordability. Oh, we're all stunned. Democrats. Well, Virginia's gone blue. The Virginia Democrats have introduced more than 50 new tax proposals this legislative session. And by the way, these are all foreigners that move in there. These are all foreigners that move into Virginia, vote for Democrats. Despite campaigning on making life more affordable for Virginians during last year's elections, Democrat lawmakers have proposed several tax increases, and then they list all the things. A gun and ammunition tax in Virginia. Investment income tax. I mean, just listen to this. Event tax. New personal property tax, dog walking tax, dog grooming tax, gym membership tax. Hey, Virginia, might be time for a Virginia Tea Party. You know what I mean? Might be time for some form of a Virginia Tea Party. That is outrageous. They'll find anything to tax you on. Guys, go ahead in the chat. What are they going to tax you on next? Coffee tax. I got a coffee tax. I'm going to get taxed for drinking my coffee. I'll get taxed for having a beard. I'll get a turtleneck tax. Just anything to tax it. Just anything to steal your money. But don't worry. They'll replace you. You won't have to pay taxes because you won't even have an income. Get 1,600 pounds a month to do nothing. Welcome to an AI future where nobody works. As concerns grow over AI surpassing human abilities within 2 or 3 years, Holly Dunbar explores whether universal basic income could be the solution in a world without traditional jobs. Okay, well, we've all heard about this. Elon Musk has talked about this. Now, if you want to get really philosophical about it, it's actually a pretty amazing thing. It's actually a pretty incredible proposal. Now, you hear this and there's reason to flinch. There's reason for concern. But it's also like, is it possible? See, this is where you get into the issue of, are we going to be a free people or not? Are you a free people or are you not? Because technically, the dollar bill is worthless. It has perceived value. It has perceived value and trust that everyone else in civilization accepts its value. But it has no inherent value. You go burn a dollar bill right now, what happens? It's gone. So it's like, if I had a robot, let's say I'm not even Owen Schroyer. Let's say I'm just an Owen Schroyer robot. Owen Schroyer is actually downstairs right now reading a book. Owen Schroyer is actually downstairs right now making coffee. Owen Schroyer is actually outside right now trimming the trees. Owen Schroyer's at the gym right now. I'm a robot Schroyer. I'm working. I'm making money. He's out doing stuff. Is that what we're talking about? So it has communist undertones, communist overtones. We don't like that. We believe in the value of work. That's what we believe in, the value of work, contributing to civilization, contributing to your community, working for a living. But, how are they going to, I feel like if we basically have an automated world, and this is what Musk is talking about, an automated world, and there's some other news out of Tesla today we'll get to in a second. If you have an automated world, all the money is already fake, and you already have the haves and have-nots. So a universal basic income is basically, it's inevitable they're going to try to push this. It's inevitable that eventually this is where it's going to try to go. And if everything is automated, what are we really looking at here? Are we looking at like a Wall-E type of situation? Are we looking at a situation where humans can actually decide to live in beautiful civilizations again because we're not slaves and we can actually build beautiful things and care about our health and take care of our families? Where all of that is few and far between right now because we're so busy being slaves. It's an interesting situation. I think it's an interesting situation, I have to tell you. And I'm not saying I'm for it, but I got to say, this is probably controversial. A lot of people will probably not like what I'm about to say here, but I'd say I'm not inherently against it either. I will say I'm not. Because the money's already fake. The money's already fake. We're already slaves. So if we automate the world and that gives humans a chance to be free again, and build a beautiful world again and actually care about themselves and care about their health and care about their family, and they're not just busy being slaves all day, maybe there is room for a beautiful future. Maybe that vision of the future that we've all seen in the books, in the movies, maybe it is possible, because it is not possible under the current circumstances, folks. In case you haven't noticed. The slaves have to work more and more and more and more to get their little bread, to get their little piece of the pie, which is slowly shrinking. But the powers that be aren't going to just let us go free. You know that. They're not going to let that happen. So what are they going to do to us first? If we have an automated world and we can build beautiful civilizations and we can free humanity from the slave classes that currently exist in most of the world, the powers that be aren't just going to let us be free. The powers that be, the establishment, they're just not going to let you be free. So what are they going to do to us? And is there already something planned? Do they already have the answer? Is there already some secret history of a cataclysm coming and it's just going to wipe us all out anyway, and then they're going to roll us into this but not tell you about it? Yeah, I know that this is controversial and maybe not popular. I accept that. I recognize that. And I'm not the one pushing it, mind you. This isn't some big idea for me. This isn't some big push for me. I'm just saying we have to remember the goal here. We have to remember the goal here. The goal here is to free humanity. That's the goal. The goal here is to free humanity, free the American people from the current slave status that they're in. That's the goal here. So that's all I'm saying. So this can be used against humanity. This can be used for humanity. But it's coming. I mean, it's clearly coming, folks. And now Musk is talking about it, by the way. In fact, let me jump forward to this story here, and we'll get into that. But yes, exactly. That's what we want, but not them. So there's the clash. This is why I could never get in But this is why I don't want the automated world. So I stand against the automated world. But that's where it's going, whether I like it or not. I don't think I could ever get in an automatic driving car. Waymo, one of the big automatic car companies, a Waymo car hit a child near an elementary school. The NHTSA is investigating. A Waymo driverless vehicle struck a child near an elementary school in Santa Monica, California. The company voluntarily reported the incident to federal auto safety regulators on the same day. And the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is now investigating. In a separate incident in Los Angeles, a Zeekr vehicle, I've never heard of that one. I don't know what that is. Operated in manual mode by a human sped through a one-way residential street near Dodger Stadium. Well, I don't know what that connection here is. Is that an automatic car too? So you've got all these issues. There's no doubt. Technology will always have its issues. Musk came out today and announced they're shutting down. I think it was the Tesla Model R and S. Let me get this right. Excuse me, guys. I told you we're fighting through it today. Oh my gosh. Model S, Model X. I'm in one of those like between sneezes right now. My body can't decide if it wants to sneeze or not. It wants to, but I'm too distracted. Excuse me, guys. Tesla ending Model S and X production in Q2. And they're going to shift these factories to making the Optimus robots. And I guess the vehicles last long enough. It's the battery that's the problem. So it's not like you need to keep production up. Really, you just need to find a way to decrease the price of the car batteries. As Elon Musk says, Tesla will stop producing its S and X models as it shifts to making robots. The two models helped move electric vehicles from the consumer fringe into the mainstream. So they're going to be building their Optimus robots in these production centers now. Folks, I'm telling you right now, you're probably 5 years away. And maybe Musk, for consumer purposes or for stock purposes, kind of over-exaggerates it. But I'd say in 5 years, folks, you're going to see, you're going to get into the robot world. 100%. How do you feel about that, by the way? I've said it before. Again, controversial take. I know it. People don't agree with me on this. It's okay, guys. It's one of the things I want to be able to do on this show is disagree, and it's okay. Like, it's okay that maybe most of my audience disagrees with something I say. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to tell you what I think. I know it's my favoritism towards Musk. I get a lot of pushback on that. I understand. I will remain there. In fact, they just announced it today. I didn't make it. It didn't make the final stack, but Neuralink is about to launch. I think it's called Blind Sight is the product. They're about to launch a technology that's going to let blind people see again. No matter what the issue is, blind from birth, developed blindness, eye injuries, Neuralink is about to have technology that lets blind people see again. I don't know how you can be against that. I mean, I guess if you're like kind of a naturalist, a purist, maybe you think that's demonic. I'm not with you on that. And imagine, and it's up to you. But I'll tell you, God forbid, it's like I don't even want to think about it. If I lost vision, I'd want to be able to see again. Wouldn't you want to see your kids, your wife, your family? Watch your favorite movie? When they came up with the colloquial ear implants, and Rush Limbaugh happened to be like one of the first, maybe like the first to get it, there was some controversy with that, and there were some communities out there, and they still exist, deaf communities where they don't like that technology, and they have these deaf communities where cochlear. What did I say, guys? I'm sorry, it's brain fart day, brain sneeze day. But yeah, they didn't like it, and you can't get accessed. I don't know how much of them still exist, but it was like at the time they kind of looked at that as cheating, and they wouldn't allow you into the. Give me a break today, guys. All right, come on. Let's take it easy on me. All right. What did I say? Have a laugh at Schroyer today. It's okay. That's all right. Cheers. Have a laugh at my expense. Make fun of me for not being totally against universal basic income. Disagree with me on the Musk stuff. That's all fine. If you were paralyzed, wouldn't you like to walk again? If you were blind, wouldn't you like to see again? How can you really be against it? I'm not against it. But there'll be controversies. There'll be debates. No doubt. Musk is doing a lot. I think the reason I've said this before, my big reason for supporting Musk, because hey, look, merging man with machine, I don't like that. Because then you start to flirt with this technology, and then you become more machine than man. So that's the danger. In fact, I'm actually sitting here, I'm wondering this. I have to tell you. For whatever reason, this was really weighing on me last night. We might need to make AI illegal. We might need to make AI illegal. Now, that's not to say that we can't use technology and algorithms and data processing to make work easier and to advance civilization using technology. I want to be clear. I'm not a Luddite. But I think we might need to talk about making artificial intelligence illegal, at least, because they want to present it like it can become some sentient being. And certainly we can't support that. Can't support that. We can't build the machine that is inevitably going to lead to our destruction. And you can say, well, you start getting into making blind people see again and paralyzed people walk again and some of these other brain plants. It's like, now you're flirting. Now you're blurring those lines. That's fair. But you start to talk about the bigger picture. You talk about AI taking over, if it's even a real thing, if it's not just numbers and algorithms. No, I think actually we need to start a stand here and maybe even declare that artificial intelligence be made illegal. At least for now. At least for now, because this idea of an AI race will be the end of humanity as we know it. That will be the end of humanity as we know it. If an artificial intelligence can reach a point, and we have 50 million robots in the country, And it can take over these robots and turn them against us and turn our machines against us and turn our military against us and turn drones against us and turn vehicles against us. We've all seen the movies. We know what it is. Why would we not want to put a stop to that now? We are not ignorant to this. We all see it. We've all perceived it. It's like, yeah, I think it's time to pump the brakes on AI. Yeah. Now, again, you can still use technology and data processing and logistics and everything else to improve technology, improve production. You can't give the robots the ability to run themselves. You can't give robots the ability to take over the planet. But it seems like that's what this race is all about. And these fools, if these fools think that, oh, well, I'll always be in control, or maybe better yet, even more ignorantly, it'll always obey me. That's funny. That is funny. Be on the lookout for that. But I think, to finish my thought, I like Musk because I think he's the one person in these industries that doesn't hate humanity. I think he's the one person in these industries that wants to see humanity go to the next level, all of us, and not just pick and decide who gets to live, who gets to die, who gets to go next level, who doesn't. I think Musk really does want to see human civilization go to the next level. I think he might be the only one at that level that wants that. That's why I support Musk. That's why I like Musk. That's why Musk's approval rating for me right now is, I think 53%. But it's just like, I see the comments and I see the people that hate on Musk, and I get it all the time. There's people that are friends of mine. There's people that listen to the show that think I'm wrong on this. That's good, guys. Let's disagree. Disagree with me. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm okay with that. But it's like, you look at this class. You look at this class of centibillionaires. You look at the class of the tech elites. It's a very small group of people, folks. It's like, don't you want one of them on our side? It's like, we don't want to turn all of them against us. We don't want to make them all hate us. And this one might really piss some people off, and maybe this is a little home cooking for me. I think we got Jack Dorsey all wrong, too. I'll just leave that comment right there. I'll just go ahead and leave that comment right there. All right. How are we doing with the weather here? Do I even want to talk about the weather? What is going on? What is this? Why is this in my news? U.S. East Coast bomb cyclone could bring heaviest snow in decades to North Carolina. Oh, was this because of the snow stuff? Because of the fake snow or whatever it is? Maybe that's what it was. Let's see. Another blast of dangerous cold. Is that why this is in my stack today, guys? I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Crews race to restore power, open roads as the U.S. South braces for another blast of dangerous cold. Good Lord. I'm glad I'm not getting that. I don't know. Why was this in my stack, guys? Can somebody tell me? Who put this news in my stack? Was it because of the fake snow thing? I don't see... I feel like if it was, I should have had, here it is. So this was found. So I had a bunch of people making fun of me for that snow video, and that's fine. I really don't care. But now Cam TV is reporting. This was in Denton, Texas. Actually, I had a conversation with somebody in Denton earlier today. I had a phone call with somebody out there. And it's still pretty bad. But somebody tested the snow in Denton. And look at what they found. High levels of aluminum, barium, strontium, lead, Lead. I mean, folks, these levels are so high, they're not even on the charts. These levels are not even on the charts. Mercury, sulfur compounds, nitrates. And so, I see people responding and they're like, well, no, it doesn't mean this or it doesn't mean that. Also, okay, whatever. You know what? I don't really care what you think is going on. I don't really care whether you think the snow is normal snow or not. I don't really care whether you think chemtrails or geoengineering or whatever. I really don't give a damn. These are lab tests of the stuff that falls out of the sky. Okay? So, that's a little concerning. I don't care what conspiracy theories you do believe, don't believe. I don't care about what you think about the snow and all of it. I don't give a damn. These are the studies of the chemicals that are falling on top of us. That's a little concerning. And it's like, I had that video, and it's like, I had the video, somebody sent it to me from the snow in Missouri that they put on their fire. They literally put the ball of snow on their fire in their fireplace, and it didn't melt. It just sat there. And people say, oh, that's because of this scientific thing and whatever. And then they hit me with a community note. Okay, fine, whatever. Fine, I'm crazy. Snow doesn't melt when it's sitting on a fire. Fine. Tell me what this is. Tell me why I have aluminum and barium and strontium and lead and mercury and sulfur and nitrates falling on my head. Tell me that. Go ahead. So make fun of conspiracy theorists about chemtrails and make fun of people posting the videos about snow, and that's fine. And I talked to other people who are in the business today, by the way. Okay? And they think I'm ridiculous. They think I'm funny for doing it. They're making fun of me. These are friends of mine that are actually in the business of cloud seeding. But they did agree. It's like, well, we do this stuff, but, the chemtrails and the geoengineering, that's way beyond our pay grade. We go up in the sky and spray a finite amount to help people, water their farms. So I just want to know, I'm crazy for thinking snow should melt on a fire. Fine. I'm crazy for thinking people are manipulating the weather. Fine. You tell me why all of these toxic heavy metals are falling out of our sky. Go ahead. You tell me. That I would like to know. I guess I'm just crazy for being concerned about that. And then you have all the disease and the sickness and the mental illness and all of it. It's like, well, yeah, maybe from the poison chemicals that are falling out of our sky for who knows why. See, there it is. This is the slavery. This is the slavery. You're not allowed to know why heavy metals are falling on your damn head out of the sky. So if you want to say, well, there could be a good reason, well, let's hear it. Yeah, I agree. We can use science and technology to improve our way of life. But they say it's not happening. Well, it clearly is happening. But I guess you're crazy. You're crazy if you don't want to get hit with heavy metals and chemicals out of the sky. You're crazy. Here, listen to this one. Stunning Epstein twist as Ghislaine Maxwell claims 29 friends cut secret deals with the DOJ. Oh, this explains a lot. This explains a lot. I've had my theories about this. Let's go into this here. 29 friends of Jeffrey Epstein were shielded through secret settlements by the Justice Department. Yeah. The disgraced socialite, this is Maxwell, filed a habeas corpus petition on December 17th seeking to overturn her conviction, arguing that prosecutors cut deals with the Epstein associates while prosecuting her as if no such agreements existed. Maxwell alleges that 25 men reached undisclosed deals while 4 alleged co-conspirators were known to investigators but never charged. She does not name the individuals. That I don't understand. But okay. None of the 4 named co-conspirators or the 25 men with secret settlements were indicted, the court filing says. So they're putting this in court. Maxwell argues that the alleged concealment of these deals undermined the fairness of her trial and violated her constitutional rights. She's trying to get out of prison, folks. And they already cut a deal with her to send her to a camp. New evidence reveals that there were 25 men with which the plaintiff's lawyers reached secret settlements that could equally be considered as co-conspirators, the legal document states. And by the way, this is probably why Trump is telling you to stop talking about it, because they already got all of them, but they're not going to prosecute him because they cut deals. And the deals they cut mostly benefit the Trump administration. But we'll get into that in a second. None of these men have been prosecuted, and none has been revealed to petitioner. She would have called them as witnesses had she known. I guess witnesses in her trial. So when we hear about, they were trafficking all of these girls to nobody, this is who they were tracking them to. In the sprawling court filing, Maxwell mounts multiple lines of attack, forming the basis of her habeas corpus argument, including allegations of juror misconduct and suppression of evidence. Well, Bondi, has broken the law on this deal now, but she just gets away with it. They've been saying this for how long now? A month? 2 million files. They're going through 2 million Epstein files. This is the same Pam Bondi who said she saw the files and they're so bad. Remember the secret tapes? And then she went out and did the press conference anticipating the release of the secret recording coming out. Oh, it's so bad. It's so despicable. So what? So you're covering it up illegally. No, you cut deals. They cut deals, guys. They cut deals. She alleges that prosecutors violated the terms of Epstein's 2007 non-prosecution agreement in Florida, which she claims extended immunity to co-conspirators, and asserts she was prosecuted for political reasons while others escaped justice. This is an interesting argument, though. This is an interesting argument that she's making, which is, why am I being prosecuted and nobody else is? It's an interesting argument. You have to say it's kind of compelling. And maybe this was part of the plan to eventually free her. And by the way, what do you think she's going to do as soon as she's out of prison? Where do you think she's going to go? You want to play some bets? Where do you think Maxwell's going day one when she gets out, huh? The 64-year-old Maxwell is serving a 20-year sentence at federal prison Camp Bryan, a minimum security federal women's prison in Texas. Convicted, yada, yada, yada. Attorney General Pam Bondi said that her lawyers are redacting several million pages of documents from the files of the DOJ, FBI, and U.S. attorneys' offices, which is illegal because the Epstein Files Transparency Act, signed into law by Trump in November after a civil war in the Republican Party, required the DOJ to release the files by December 19th. So she is in violation of the law. No less than 200 lawyers in the U.S. Attorney's Office from the Southern District of New York are involved in the review. Isn't this nice? Even prosecutors assigned to Nicolas Maduro's high-profile case have been put in on this effort, according to the New York Times. So it goes on. So here's what I think. Maxwell is obviously trying to get out of jail. And she's got a pretty compelling argument. Now, I don't know if it's really going to work for her. This is not the angle that's going to work for her. She's trying to apply political pressure to the administration to cut a deal with her. And maybe she's basically kind of showing, she's like, look, I know you guys cut secret deals. Maybe she even knows who the deals were cut with. And she's saying, hey, I know what went on here. You guys better cut me loose. But she has a compelling argument to say this is selective prosecution. Now, the feds, selective prosecution and the feds, this happens all the time. This is why I went to prison and many others didn't for January 6th. So selective prosecution is nothing that the federal government doesn't do all the time, and the federal judges let them get away with it. So I don't really know if there's anything that'll happen in her actual legal case that's going to help her as far as selective prosecution is concerned. But it does seem to be putting pressure on the administration, and it does seem to be that her angle is, hey, you better cut me loose now. Here's what I think is happening. Here's what I think happened. And this is why Trump is covering it up now with Pam Bondi. And you know, maybe Trump was involved with this stuff to some degree. I don't think he was doing anything illegal, but I think, you know, he liked to hang out with Epstein because Epstein was always surrounded by beautiful women, and Trump liked beautiful women. And they both had enough money to do whatever the hell they wanted, so that's, you know, it happened. And then when Trump found out that Epstein was, you know, recruiting women specifically at his club, he put an end to it, cooperated with the FBI, and helped bring Epstein in. Now, you could get real conspiratorial if you wanted to take the anti-Trump angle and say the reason why Trump brought Epstein in when he was president was to make sure that he couldn't talk. No, what I think happened is the reason why the establishment is so pro-Trump now is because he cut these deals. And I think the reason why you have all the establishment people that normally MAGA would hate, normally MAGA would want them to be in prison. Now they have their name on the White House, the Trump ballroom. They're in and out of the White House all day long. They're campaigning with Trump. They're fundraising for Trump. I think that's all because of this deal right here that Maxwell just talked about. I think Trump brought them all in, and he said the most damning and compelling evidence in the Epstein files is against you guys. But I'll tell you what. We'll call you the victims. We'll call you the victims. We will say that essentially you guys got tricked to sleeping with underage women. You didn't know it. You were set up. You were blackmailed. You're the victims here. But here's how it's going to go. You're going to start cutting us some checks. You understand? You're going to start cutting us some checks, and you're going to start playing ball with me. I'm the boss now. And they probably said, okay, and my name doesn't get mentioned, and you'll redact it from the Epstein files, and I don't go to prison. That's the deal. That's the deal. And now here we are. And Maxwell is sitting out there left out of the deal, and she's like, well, what gives? Why am I left out? Come on, old girl. Come on, old girl. Name the names. Come on. In your little Fed camp, playing tennis all day. Name the names.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's the fastest 3 hours on the internet. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys. Playing through it today. Thanks for sticking around here. Thanks for being with me always. I might even have to go into bonus time. We might even have to go into overtime today because there's so much news and there's developing news. I still need to get to the super chats. For the new people in the chat, will you guys explain it to them, what goes on with the music? I can't do this every day. This is why I have to keep the chat closed. I just can't deal with it. So if you guys want to explain why we do this with the music, you go ahead. I'm moving on. All right. The Trump administration asks you to invest $1,000 into the Trump account so that we can boost the stock market. Meanwhile, Homeland Security is offering illegal aliens $2,600. Pretty ironic, isn't it? Hey, American, sign up and put money into your Trump account. Meanwhile, hey, foreigner here illegally, here's $2,600. Okay. How do you like that one? Yeah, how do you like that one? Somebody come get me some chicken soup. Somebody bring me some chicken noodle soup. No, we're going to play through it. Actually, I've got a bone to pick with some people now. I have to tell you this. All right, we're about to get to Tom Homan. I got a little bone to pick with people. And I told you guys at the start of the year, I told you 2026 was the year of the trigger and the year of the MOG. So we have been triggering people. We have been mogging people. You know, I saw somebody, and I understand. I understand why people might doubt my physical prowess. I do. Certainly understandable. How can one man do it all? How can there be a real life Max Maxer? How can it be? How can there be a real world Vitruvian man? So somebody doubted my leg press the other day. They said, no, you're not. There's no way you do that on the leg press machine. So now I have to go to the gym tonight. I have to do 7 plates on a leg press machine and show you reps. So I think that people do this to trigger me, though, because that's it. You're listening to my advice. It's the year of the trigger. So I actually salute you. So let's go to Tom Homan. All right. Now, he's talking about deportations here. We got a couple clips from Homan earlier today.
Definition now.
All operations will be targeted, but the prioritization are going to be criminal aliens, public safety threats, and national security threats. I've met with Marcos and his staff. We got to allow them. We got to allow them to keep us busy. So that would be our focus.
That is enough that's what there is not going to be a focus on people who have no other crimes except for their status.
If you're in the country illegally, you're never off the table. You know, but we prioritization doesn't mean you forget about everybody. So let me say this. If the message we send is you can enter this country illegally, it's a crime, don't worry about it. You can have your due process, show up in court, not show up in court, get ordered removed, don't worry about it. Unless you commit a serious crime, you're good to go. If that's the message we send to the world, you're never going to fix this problem. The most vulnerable people in the world will make that dangerous journey like they did under the Joe Biden administration. Over 4,000 aliens died making that journey. And again, a significant increase in sex trafficking, because when they did that and opened those borders up saying, we're not going to detain you, we're going to give you free health care, we're going to fly you to the city of your choice, put you in a free hotel room, give you 3 meals a day, and give you work authorization, we're just going to bring you in. And when they did that, they sent a message to the whole world, you can come and do this. And what happened? They overwhelmed the men and women of the Border Patrol, where many days 70% of agents were pulled off that line. 70%. You don't think the criminal cars had a field day with that? They created gaps.
I will continue to ask why the people that brought them in haven't been brought to justice. It's such a tough thing to deal with 20 million illegal aliens coming in 4 years. So people can complain, and rightfully so, that, hey, they broke the law, they need to go. But you can certainly understand, as Tom Homan is saying, it's like, well, we have to prioritize the violent criminals. We have to do that, and there's no shortage of them, so we'll stay busy. It's just a mess. It's just a mess. And I'd like to see Alejandro Mayorkas get punished for it, quite frankly, is what I'd like to see. Now, this is the craziest thing. I think this is the clip where he says the fact that this happens, we should be outraged, ladies and gentlemen.
And he has clarified for me that county jails may notify ICE of the release dates of criminal public safety risks so ICE can take custody of them upon the release from the jail. And let me tell you why that's important. I know people are a lot concerned about the manpower has been set in law enforcement manpower. Look, I've said this many times before. I've said it for the last several years. Give us access to the illegal alien public safety threat and the safety and security of a jail. It's common sense. It's safer for the community, it's safer for the agent, and it's safer for the alien. Because anything can happen on a street arrest. It just makes common sense. And for the people that argue, well, we're a welcoming community because we want victims and witnesses of crime that are here illegally to feel safe to come to police without fear they're working with ICE, we're not going to talk to the victim and witness of crime. There's no problem there. They should feel safe to come to police and ask for help. All we want is to talk to the person that local and state law enforcement authorities locked in a jail cell.
So let me translate this for you. 2 shocking things that I'm hearing. One, and we already knew that this was going on, but this is unreal. You have Democrat jurisdictions that are releasing violent illegal aliens out on the streets because the Democrat policy is we're not cooperating with ICE. This is not a federal prison. And so they release them on the streets. So it doesn't even matter because they have to notify the feds. They can't not notify the feds that they caught an illegal alien. But what they're supposed to do, what they would obviously do, is, hey, we got an illegal alien here. This is an ICE issue. So we're going to hold this illegal alien until you come pick him up. Folks, they're releasing him on the streets. So they call the feds and they say, we got a violent illegal alien criminal here, and we're releasing him out on the streets. That is crazy. That is unreal. And of course, they would never do that with any other criminal, folks. They would never do that with any other criminal. If you're an American criminal and they're about to transfer you to a new jail or take you to court, whatever, they always keep you in cuffs and they always keep you in custody. This is totally unheard of. And the Democrats are releasing violent illegal aliens out on the streets and then telling the feds to go get them. And then the other thing he says there, if I translate this correct, he's saying that the Democrats are telling locals that if they go in and file a criminal complaint, let's say, hey, we know there's an illegal alien here, or we know this criminal illegal alien committed a crime against me or my family, the Democrats are telling them that you're going to get arrested. Nuts. Nuts. Now, here's kind of the slam dunk, if you will, and this is the most obvious slam dunk of it all when it comes to the Democrat double standards on this issue. Holman lays it out.
I also want to remember the politicians are continually attacking us. Where were they the last 4 years when the number of women, children, sex trafficking went all-time high? Where were they when 250,000 Americans died from fentanyl coming across the border? Where were they when women and children are dying making that journey? Where were they when over 4,000 families making that journey died? Historic record. Where were they? Not a word. Now we're just trying to respond to what happened the last 4 years and keeping this country safe. And we're arresting a lot of public safety threats, take them off the streets, which make this country safer. President Trump promised to make this country safe again, and that's what we're doing.
I'd like to nominate Tom Homan for head of DHS, please. Christy had a nice run, and I'm sure we sold some gear, made some recruitments, and she wears the cowboy hats and everything else. It's been fun. DHS Barbie, it's been a fun ride. It's time to bring in a serious man. Thank you very much. Now, my frustration, and I'm sure a lot of the audience has the same frustration as I do. We're so over this game. Who are we still trying to convince that liberals and Democrats are just liars? Who is it that we still need to convince that Democrats have no standards except double standards? Who are we still trying to convince that Democrats are scumbags, liars, all of it? It's like, who is it that I'm still trying to convince? If you're not convinced of that by now, then what am I doing? This is a fool's errand to try to convince you. Now, I'm not frustrated that Tom Homan addresses that to the press, and he says so very, very soberly, very somber. I'm just saying, it's like, I see this happening in right-wing politics. I see this happening with the MAGA cheerleaders and the pom-pom wavers. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Why are you still trying to convince anybody that Democrats are complete phonies and frauds and liars and scum? Why? If you haven't figured that out by now, I don't know what to do for you. There's no helping you. We have the political power. All we should be doing is enacting policy. That's all we should be doing. So it just gets a little annoying to have to sit here and like, oh, but see, the Democrats didn't do this, and no, look, the Democrats with this. It's like, oh, what? What are we doing here? Guys, just go ahead and initiate. Go ahead and follow through on the policy. That's all we ask. That's all we ask. And if there's criminals that get in the way of it, you arrest them. That's it. And guess what? If there's anybody out there that needs convinced, then they'll be convinced. They'll be convinced. They're not gonna sit here and cry because a bunch of criminals are getting arrested in the streets. They're not. They're going to say, oh, they're blocking law enforcement. Oh, they're stopping deportations. Yeah, you should arrest them. That's what they're going to say. We don't need to win. We've already won the policy debate. We've already won the political debate. I'm not dealing with these left-wingers that play in the mud all day. Why do we keep getting into the mud with these people? Fulfill the policy. The rest of the people will figure it out. I mean, just look at how this Preddy situation has developed. And there's room for debate, and there'll be debate, and there'll be back and forth. But it's just like, dude, we've already learned. We've already learned. And then it comes out, it's like, oh, look, here's Preddy assaulting an officer. Here's Preddy committing 3 crimes. And then what? And then he doesn't get arrested. And that's the problem. And that's the problem. And you know, This is a true thing. If they would have arrested Preddy on January 13th, when he committed at least 3 crimes, he would be alive today. That would have saved his life. He would have been in jail, and he would have been able to go out there and get into another skirmish with law enforcement and end up getting killed. So have the debate, justified killing or not. Honestly, it'll probably end up being an unjustified killing. Despite all the prior actions, they disarmed him. And then there was a bad situation, and he lost his life. So I still think these two things can remain true. I think you can believe it was an unjustified killing, but I think you can also say play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But he would be alive today if he would have been arrested for the 3 crimes that he committed on January 13th. He should have been in jail. He shouldn't have been able to be out there on the streets getting into it with ICE again because he should have been in jail. That's the truth. And if he would have been arrested and put in jail, he would still be alive today. And that's the truth. No matter how you think about him getting killed, that's the truth. All right, let's jump around here. I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to the left, to the rest of the show here. So let's jump around. Candace Owens here. A lot of weirdness here. So Candace Owens makes a claim about Brett Cooper's exit from the Daily Wire. And what she claims here is very revealing, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this claim in this comment, because this is kind of what has made this get even more attention, is that Brett Cooper's mother has confirmed what Candace Owens is about to say. Now, you can take that with a grain of salt, whether or not this is really Brett Cooper's mom or not, and maybe we will find out. But listen to this.
Now, were I in your shoes, Jeremy, I might even rank you bizarrely telling Brett Cooper, then a very young employee of yours, just a few weeks before she was slated to get married, sitting her down and telling her that she shouldn't do that because you had big plans and you were going to turn her into a star because you're the magic. I would probably rank that at the tippity top of bad corporate decisions, among others. You maybe forgot yourself in that moment, as you always do. Maybe got a little swept up in you. But conservatives, those pretending to be conservative companies, certainly are not supposed to chase Hollywood fame above family. And I think personally that she made the right decision to leave. And then you made, again, the wrong decision, like the angry, repressed homosexual that you are, to not just allow a young woman, again, 21 years old, to just leave, but to, again, stalk, because that's what you do. You stalk. You pretend it's a business, but you're glorified stalkers. In this time, in the most sadistic manner possibly ever, offering an obscene amount of money to her maid of honor at that wedding that you didn't want her to have, to hurt her, replacing her with her maid of honor because you wanted Brett Cooper, a young woman, to suffer for simply wanting to change jobs, which is why you worked behind this.
By the way, does that sound familiar? Does that sound familiar to anybody? Do you think I have any experience with that? Hardy har.
Scenes through the same demented PR orbit to try to smear her, the friendly pop culture young girl, as an anti-Semite over an Instagram like because she liked a year-end roundup of my podcast, and you wouldn't have that. You wouldn't have that. You know, I'd rank that as another mistake, but what I rank as one of my prouder moments and all of that was using some of my nuclear energy to stand up for her publicly, despite contractual restraints, using my platform to say what you did to her was wrong. And when you sued me for that, for standing up for Brett Cooper, I want you to know that I communicated to my legal team that I would accept that. I would accept the penalty of hundreds of thousands of dollars, which you wanted to impart upon me, for me doing the right thing and standing up for someone who didn't deserve what you were putting her through. You did put me through it, and you were trying to put her through it. And I told my husband that I would gladly pay that money. I said, if the judge came back in your favor, I wouldn't lie. I would admit that I consciously stood up for somebody who didn't deserve to be smeared. I'm proud of that. In fact,
all right. So she gets into a little of the, corporate fights she endured with the Daily Wire on her way out. So it shows a lot about how the Daily Wire operates. And I don't doubt what Candace said is true. And I would anticipate if there is any doubt, it will eventually be removed. As far as whether or not Brett Cooper's mom has actually confirmed that story or not, you'll probably find that out too. I would imagine that Candace will be vindicated in everything that she said there. But here's what I really want you to take away from this, aside from the joke I made about my own experience. Folks, you have to understand how the political world operates, specifically how political media operates. I don't know if I could put a number on it, but I think 80% is probably a fair number to put on it. 80% of political media is strictly agenda driven. It's not about politics. It's not about a belief system. It's not about policy. The stuff that they talk about, they really don't even know or care about. 80% of political media is strictly agenda driven. So that agenda could be a policy, a foreign interest, a special interest. But more times than not, it's not so conspiratorial. More times than not, the agenda is to just make money. That's it. Is to just make as much money as possible. And so you hear this story. Here's Brett Cooper, 21-year-old girl. I don't really follow the Daily Wire. I don't really follow Brett Cooper, but she's obviously popular enough that she has a significant following, enough of a following that the Daily Wire tried to keep her around. And maybe there was a little fear that if she left, she might say some things that they didn't want her to say. Maybe there was a little bit of that. But can you imagine a situation where a young girl wants to get married? Because this is, Candace didn't say this. This is my interpretation. Because this is how it works in media, by the way. This is how it works with big celebrities and musicians and actresses. And this is why a lot of famous women fake pregnancies, because they don't want to go through that with their bodies. They need to work. And as soon as the pregnancy is over, they need to be able to get back to work. So they have fake pregnancies. Happens all the time. It's been proven. So here's Brett Cooper. Young girl wants to get married. And the Daily Wire says, we can make you a star, so please don't do this. Now tell me why. Tell me why. In I guess Jeremy Boring's view here, as Candace Owens puts it, tell me why that would be detrimental to Brett Cooper's stardom. Tell me why Brett Cooper getting married would be detrimental to her stardom, or detrimental to her popularity, or detrimental into the bottom line, money. You want to know why, guys? Because here's what they do. They know that if they have a young Brett Cooper there, single, that guys will tune in to watch. But if Brett Cooper is married, guys don't want to watch anymore. Most guys don't want to hear from a young married woman. They don't. And I don't really, again, I don't know too much about Brett Cooper's show or her following. But I mean, 21-year-old young girl, how much of a political knowledge base can she really have? Nothing against Brett Cooper. But who's really tuning into Brett Cooper? Are people tuning into Brett Cooper because she's an experienced political pundit? Because she has a wealth of knowledge and experience in the political world? No. Let's just say what it is. People tune into Brett Cooper because she's hot. And it's not the Daily Wire that has exclusively figured this out, by the way. Fox News has been doing this for years. You want to know why they're always popping up another tart on Fox News? You want to know why they're always popping up another hot blonde, another Botox-filled, plastic-faced bimbo on Fox News? Come on, guys. So they looked at their bottom line. They said, hey, Brett Cooper makes us a lot of money. Maybe they said most of Brett Cooper's viewing audience is young men. And most of these young men are tuning in because they think she's hot. And if Brett Cooper gets married and starts having kids, we're going to lose that target demographic, and we're not going to be able to sell them the products that we aim at that target demographic. So please, Brett, we can make you a star, but not if you get married. We can't sell a young married woman. We can sell a young single hot woman, though, but we can't sell a married woman. This is how they operate. This is how the media operates. This is how the political media operates. And they all know it. They all know it. And I don't really care. I see the comments, oh, she's not hot, she is hot. It doesn't even matter. You're missing the point. You're missing the point. All they have to do is put a young tart in front of an audience, hit that target demographic, and the rest plays out as it always does. That's all. That's all it is. But think about, I can't even relate to that, quite frankly. I don't know is it evil? Is it greedy? Is it selfish? Is it demonic? That a young girl, this is what, your friend? No, you don't look at her as a friend. You don't even look at her as a human. You look at her as an object for you to make money. How can you not say, congratulations on your marriage? This is awesome. I wish you nothing but the best. Long, happy, prosperous kids, whatever. And you know what? If we need to kind of rethink the content and the presentation, and maybe we kind of redirect it, and now you're a married woman, and maybe we try to sell stuff to other married women, or if you start having kids, maybe we have some kids products. We can work with this. We're really happy for you. Congratulations. We'll do anything to keep you around. No, instead it's, hey, you shouldn't do that. This is going to hurt your fame and fortune. Wow. I think it says a lot, huh? And I would say Brett Cooper's probably glad she made the choice to go independent. That's my guess. I don't know. Israel plans large camp for Palestinians in southern Gaza. What? You know when they announced these plans, by the way? On Worldwide Holocaust Remembrance Day, Israel announces concentration camps for Palestinians. We're having fun. We're having fun. Now, what is it I always say about trauma-based mind control? Here's an example. This is from the Christian Humanitarian Aid Group, which is really just an Israel beneficiary. The trauma didn't end in 1945. Third-generation Holocaust families are still living with inherited psychological trauma. Intergenerational PTSD is real. Long-term care is essential. Monthly support makes recovery possible. Donate today. So it's another one of these groups. You can't even, it's like you see this stuff, you can't even believe it's real. Like, this has to be fake. It's so ridiculous. But it's another one of these groups, Jewish Christian groups. They take money from Christians, they give it to Israel. But this is the trauma-based mind control I'm talking about. And by the way, they do the same thing to black people in America. They do the exact same thing to black Americans. This is why they bash black Americans over the head with slavery, to keep you in that trauma-based mind control, keep you hating white people. And so they do the same thing to Jewish people. They do the exact same thing to Jewish people. But that's what I talk about, trauma-based mind control. So you get a little example there. All right, I don't have anything else from the Trump cabinet meeting today. It was mostly inconsequential, and they avoided the Minnesota issue. But in all cases, this is just, This is so ridiculous. It's funny.
We've had great meetings. Look, we're the most transparent presidency by far, and I love going around the room. But we're going to pick a few people. I think I would like to ask Steve if he could just give us a brief description of how well we're doing in the Middle East, because we have peace in the Middle East now. There's a couple of little.
We have peace in the Middle East. I'm not going to go on here. We're running out of time for the day. We have peace in the Middle East. Folks, look. That is so outrageous. It's absurd. First of all, there's no peace in the Middle East. We're about to get into a war with Iran. Now, I talk about the leftovers. Like 80% of my leftover stack is just Israel fighting people. Just Israel continuing war, Gaza, West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon. But it's like, I get sick of it. I get sick of it just like you. And so I push it off. It ends up in a leftover stack. I've got a leftover stack of news that is nothing but Israel attacking people in Jordan, Israel attacking people in Syria, Israel attacking people in Lebanon, Israel attacking people in the West Bank, Israel attacking people in the Golan Heights. It's literally non-stop. There's no peace in the Middle East. Israel's attacking every single person that they want. There's literally no peace. So it's just crazy when they say this stuff. As we're saber rattling with Iran, as we're getting ready to do a war with Iran, probably. Let's all hope we can avoid it. And they say, oh, there's peace in the Middle East. Just outrageous. But look, this is what Trump does. This is what Trump does. Is it fair to say he's a liar? Yeah. But, I don't even look at it like that. This is just Trump's tactic. He just says stuff. That's what he just says stuff. I don't even think he's lying. I don't even think he's sitting there like, oh, I'm going to lie. I think he just says stuff. He just says whatever he wants. And it's just not true. Is that fair to say? Is there a difference between a lie and something that's not true? We're really splitting hairs here now. I'm just saying, I don't even think he's looking at it like, oh, I'm going to lie to them about the Middle East. I think he's just sitting there. It's all marketing. It's all branding. It's all presentation. So it's like, always peace, always the biggest, always the best. It's just like, that's what he does. He's a bullshitter. Exactly. It's just bullshit. There's no peace in the Middle East. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah. That's hilarious. So, but it's the same thing. Oh, it's the best economy ever. No, it's not. Oh, everything's good. It's just like, oh, peace in the Middle East. It's just all BS. He's just the number one brander, number one bullshitter of all time. That's the legacy here. Oh, my gosh. Come on, guys. Let's take a second. Hold on. Let's take a second. There's peace in the Middle East, guys. We did it. There's peace in the Middle East. Yeah. Yeah. Ask every single country that borders Israel about peace in the Middle East. Ask all of the people that live next to Israel about peace in the Middle East. Let's talk about trauma-based mind control. How do you think the Palestinians are going to do for a couple generations? That is just wild. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah. There's so much peace. There's so much peace in the Middle East. It's the most peace that there's ever been on planet Earth. We did it. So much peace. So much peace. It's peace in the Middle East, and that's why I'm telling Iran I'm sending my entire war fleet over there to bomb the hell out of you. So much peace. We've got a lot of peace bombs coming to Iran. You better not mess with us. We're going to bomb the hell out of you. That's how much peace there is. Get ready. How many bombs has Israel dropped in the last 2 years? 10,000? Oh, and they've concluded, by the way, the IDF has concluded, this is their number, they affirm the number, that they killed 70,000 Palestinians. So that means, and by the way, this is apparently the this was the Palestinian whatever these different groups are that are trying to compile these numbers. So there were some different groups that were trying to compile the death count in the Gaza Strip, and they concluded it was 70,000. And then the IDF came out and said, yes, we agree the number is 70,000. So to me, that means it's probably at least 80 or 100. I'm sure the IDF saw that number. The IDF saw the 70,000 number, and they said, oh my gosh, this is great. We got to say yes. Accept it. Folks, if the number was 70,000, they'd come back and say, no way. So to me, that's them admitting the number is much higher. But even if it is 70,000, there it is. There's 70,000. All right, we got Mitch McConnell. They're rolling him into Congress today, literally rolling Mitch McConnell in. It's just ridiculous. Okay. Hey, remember that story yesterday about the police officer in Australia with the satanic pedophile networks? I think it's important for a little follow-up from Liz Crokin today. Since I started exposing Pizzagate in 2016, one of the most common arguments I would get from normies is that if Pizzagate were true, police would just arrest the child predators involved. What has been so hard for people to wrap their heads around with these elite pedophile rings is that in most of these rings, people in positions of power who are supposed to protect children are involved, such as police officers, judges, faith leaders, teachers, politicians, government officials, etc. The arrest of this former police officer involved in a satanic pedophile ring in Australia is a perfect example of this. When people such as law enforcement members are involved with these rings, victims have literally no one to turn to for justice to be served. This is why these rings have flourished for so long, with the added bonus of the media also being involved and covering for them. Yes, we've all seen that. And a friend of the show, Craig Sawyer, with the work he did, ran into such a situation right here in America, by the way. We've kind of covered this on and off, but this U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics just generated a bar graph for us. Gen Z and alcohol, a fading bond. Annual expenditure on alcoholic beverages in the United States by generation. So it's like a dead deal. Gen Z is just not drinking at all. I don't know too much about what they're into. I think they're mostly into like vaping and nicotine and stuff. Some people say they get into hard drugs. I just don't know enough about it. But the statistics are obviously, and they're not drinking. Now, I want to connect this to something. Most people are missing here. Do you remember when Bud Light did that whole trans ad campaign with Dylan Mulvaney, and Bud Light went LGBTQ? This is why they did it, guys. This is why Bud Light did it. This is what I believe, at least, and others have said similar. People that are actually in the industry. They saw that Gen Z was not drinking alcohol. They weren't drinking beer. Now, if you're my age, if you're a millennial or a Gen Xer or beyond, Bud Light beer at a party was a staple. High school parties, college parties, people drank beer. So these beer companies, maybe specifically Bud Light, saw that Gen Z was not drinking beer. So they figured if we try to tap into the LGBTQ market, maybe we can find a way to sell Gen Z beer, to get them to drink beer. Now, it obviously didn't really work for them, and they've gone back to marketing towards, white men. But that's what I think. I think the reason why Bud Light went with that strategy is they wanted to tap into the LGBTQ movement that was really only in Gen Z, as far as young people were concerned. I don't know anybody really in my generation. They're trans people, LGBTQ people. There weren't any. It's like, yeah, we might have had gay friends, lesbian friends, whatever. There was no LGBTQ plus. Okay. Let me tell you, I went to plenty of parties as a millennial. I saw all the different parties. And of all the different types of parties I went to, I don't think anybody was ever LGBTQ plus. We knew gay people, we knew gay guys, and we knew lesbians. Nobody was LGBTQ plus. Nobody was trans. Just didn't exist. So it seems that it only exists in Gen Z, and that's why they tried to market beer to those people. It is wild, though, how that works, isn't it? That just shows you how it's all propaganda. Did you guys hear about this? So Bill Belichick has been snubbed from the Hall of Fame. The first round of voting, and they did not vote Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame. Now, this is obviously ridiculous. Bill Belichick, 6 Super Bowls, the Patriots dynasty, the coaching tree, and they snub him. Now, this is, look, these writers that vote for the Hall of Fame, they always find a way to make it about them. They always find a way to try to insert their politics into the voting process. It's always been that way. That's why Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire are not in the MLB Hall of Fame, which is ridiculous. But they got to have their politics. They got to make their statement. It's all about them. So it always happens. Yeah, Pete Rose, another example. So they're snubbing Bill Belichick. It's outrageous. I guess they're going to say that, because here's where I'm at. If you're going to say, I'm not going to vote for Bill Belichick because of what? Because of Spygate? Because of Deflategate? Well, then if this is your stance, then you need to leave. You need to resign your Hall of Fame vote and never cover the NFL again. Just leave. Oh, no. Oh, you don't want that because you like the prestige. You like the prestige of being a NFL Hall of Fame voter. You like the prestige of that badge and that honor and being a part of the sports media. But, you're going to take your one stand. You're going to take your one righteous stand against voting Bill Belichick in. Because what? You think he's a cheater? Then why don't you stop voting? Why don't you stop covering the NFL? Because the NFL didn't think he was a cheater. The NFL didn't ban him from playing or coaching. They're just, these political people in the sports media are the most insufferable douchebags you'll ever meet. I'm going to make my stand. If you don't think Bill Belichick belongs in the Hall of Fame, then you're a clown and you shouldn't be voting for the Hall of Fame. Or if you think Bill Belichick doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because he's a cheater, well, the NFL doesn't seem to agree because they let him keep coaching for 10 more years. So you need to just quit covering the NFL and take a stand against the NFL. You're all phonies. You're all total phonies and frauds. You liberal politicos in the sports media. You guys suck. But who do you guys have to win the Super Bowl? I told you I picked the Patriots. I was on the Patriots bandwagon day one. That's where I'm letting it ride. I will say right now the Seahawks are definitely the better team. The Seahawks definitely come in now as the favorites. And I think the last I checked, they were 4.5-point favorites. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if that number went up. In fact, I'm actually curious. I don't have any action on that yet. I'm sure eventually. Let's see here. Where are we at? Oh, we don't have a line? What are we doing, guys? All right. Well, for some reason, they don't have a spread on the game on Robinhood. That's odd. Normally they do. I imagine it's still, here we go, 5.5. So it's 5.5 now. There it is. Yeah, I assume that went up. Yeah, so it started at 4.5. It's now 5.5. Yeah, Seattle is obviously the favorite. But, you know, sometimes there's behind the scenes stuff that goes on in sports, like some stuff that went on behind the run of the IU Hoosiers to a national championship. There's some stuff behind the scenes that went on, and that's why I bet on them. And there's some stuff going on behind the scenes with the Patriots, guys. So if you think the Seattle Seahawks are the better team and favored to win, I would agree. But what about this?
Now, we know you're living in a tough neighborhood. So we wanted to.
Thank you. That's great. Some of the greatest players in American football history. That's great.
They're sitting with you right now, and you have two great quarterbacks in this room, but they don't know the skills that you have. I've seen you throw a football, so
It depends who runs interference for you.
you need.
So that's funny. That's Patriots owner Robert Kraft. That's Patriots owner Robert Kraft making every possible effort he can to squeeze out a 7th Super Bowl. Just saying. Just saying. So, you know, we think we've got it all figured out, guys. Most people still don't care. Look at this. Google search trends this week. A little bit of Ice, a little bit of Alex Preddy. New England Patriots. Isn't that funny? So there you go, folks. Most Americans still have no clue what's even going on. But they know about the New England Patriots being in the Super Bowl. They do know that. I found this funny. This one got one. This one got me, guys. This one definitely got me. So this is in Australia. There's speech laws in Australia. You can't be anti-Semitic in Australia. So there was a protest. It was an anti-Semitic protest. And I guess this is an anti-Semitic symbol here or whatever. So this is Australia, where you have an Indian man arresting an Australian for not liking Israel. This is the current state of Western civilization. An Indian man arresting an Australian man in Australia for not supporting Israel. No. And if that doesn't sum it up, maybe this one. Maybe this is the tag team. Convicted terrorist who plotted consulate and church bombings in the UK is running in an election and favored to win. A Muslim activist who served a prison sentence for his role in an overseas terror plot is now seeking elected office in Birmingham, Britain's second largest city. His name? Shahid Butt. That's fun. That's fun. So convicted Muslims are winning office in Britain, and Australians are being arrested for being anti-Israel by Indians in Australia. We're having fun, aren't we? We're having fun. The trend continues. We've been calling this for years. MAGA women defy the birth dearth, while Democrats are increasingly the party of childless mothers, or childless women, rather. Republicans are increasingly the party of parents. Yes, that's true. And Caroline Levitt with number 2 on the way. So, if you wait long enough, liberals will eventually just die out because they're just not having kids. Just not having kids. All right. Let me see if there's anything in the leftovers I want to get to today. We're almost out of time. Like I said, it's mostly just, Israel stuff that I just am sick of. Everybody's sick of. But so we just put it into the leftovers. It just builds up. See, we covered how they're kicking dogs and cats, and it's a nice trend in Israel to record yourself beating animals. I don't know if there's anything. All right, let's just do this then. Let me see here. You know what? Let's get this one. This one's been in here for a while. The legendary John McAfee. So we hear about, we're going after drug dealers and the war on drugs and everything else. Well, here's John McAfee with his intimate knowledge of the situation.
Attention, because really, that's all that matters to me.
Did you think Trump was going to be president?
Yes, I hoped he was, actually, because the alternative was not very palatable to me.
Did you think
I will not tell you why, because it will implicate me in horrific
Sounds like you're
situations.
asking me to inquire, but I'm not going to.
I am actually, because I'm not sure I'm going to say it or not.
Well, it sounds like you're egging me on to ask you. I want to respect your
I
privacy.
am actually, because I'm not sure I will say it. I've never said it, ever.
Well, if you
Not
want
in,
me
not
to.
in 6 years since I left police have I ever stated why.
Do you want to?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then you're welcome.
Okay, so when I went on the run in police, I had friends in the U.S. Embassy and police. I knew what was coming down. I'm not stupid. I had arranged with the head of security. I was going to come in. He said, "Sir, we have it from the highest authority. We are not to allow you entry into the U.S. Embassy." Understand me. Who was the highest authority of the State Department? Hillary Clinton. I'm an American citizen with a American passport. I'm sorry. I'm not wanted in America. I've got no crimes in America. Is it not a reason to say, I don't think I'm going to vote for you?
And yet you're here now.
For a month and a half, I was on the run. The reason that the government wanted to collect me was that after they had raided my property in 2012 in the jungle, shot my dog, abused me, destroyed $500,000 worth of my property over a bogus charge, I was pissed off. And so I donated to many secretaries within the government laptop computers, really nice ones that were preloaded with viral spyware. Within a week, the entire government computer system was under my control. I was watching, monitoring, listening. I was looking for information that they had set me up for that raid. I didn't find that. I did find out that the Minister of National Defense was the largest drug trafficker in all of Central America. And the Minister of Immigration, the largest human trafficker.
We don't want to get killed by them either, so we're probably not going to
That's
share
fine.
that.
That's fine.
There it is. I'll let that one stand. The legendary John McAfee. Rest in peace. All right. Little bonus time today for you. Little bonus time. As we do at the end of every show. Let's see if we got all the business taken care of today real quick. Checking. Yeah. Okay. All right. As we do at the end of every show, folks, we go into our super chats. Again, if you want to have your chat read on the show, follow us and watch and send us a super chat on YouTube. And we read all the super chats at the end of the transmission. All right. Oh, that's nice. My Owen Schroyer's wifey has stopped by. Okay, fine. I'll behave. Hope you feel better, boo. That's very kind. Bring me some chicken noodle soup. Tate from Florida. Invest in Latinas. That sounds like you're suggesting we do something illegal. I'm not so sure I can support that. Maybe you need to invest in Latinas. Hello, Kitty. Hi, Owen and chat. I think someone pulled those economy numbers out of their ass along with job losses. Everything has increased exponentially. Yeah, I'm not seeing the economic relief. I mean, a little with gas and energy, a little, but not enough to really make a difference for the average American yet. Jennifer K., I don't know all cryptos, but I know Bitcoin. It halves every 4 years. 2026 is the bottom of that cycle with less coins mined. Prices may drop more this year before rising again in 2027. Will be a good year to buy Bitcoin. So you're saying buy Bitcoin now is what you're saying? Well, for whatever it's worth, I think I'm looking at gold. I'll just tell you, I'm looking at gold. I think that's the best play right now. What do you want me to cook for dinner, babe? I told you I want chicken noodle soup, and you're late. And I'm sick. So you've let us all down. Bob Bickerstaff, have we put an end to drip, drip, drip vote returns? I don't know what you mean exactly. Are you talking about like the drip, drip, drip evidence against the deep state that has led to no arrests? You know, I said this about the Minnesota fraud thing, and I know I've said it before, but I'm wondering, is this the, like, are we going to actually get anything out of the 2020 stolen election? Do you think we're going to actually get anything out of Georgia? Or is this just another big hype for a nothing burger? Because that's the trend. That's all we've gotten so far. Bobo Elliott. Owen, love you. Have a spine and left Jones. When are you going to have David Icke on as a guest? Thank you. Well, we addressed the David Icke thing yesterday. I just have no way of reaching him. I do follow him on X, but he doesn't follow me, so I can't send him a message. Otherwise, I would. But yeah, I'd have David on. He can try to we can debate Elon Musk even. 1 of 1K. Which would have been a bigger rift in politics? Condoleezza Rice coaching the Browns or Donald Trump owning the Buffalo Bills? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I like the idea of Condoleezza Rice coaching the Browns. I think that's funny. Yeah, I'll go with that. She'd be strong on defense. Trump's going to look like such a hypocrite. He'll call out Zelensky not having elections, but not Satan Yahoo. Well, we'll see. If Netanyahu cancels elections, we'll have to see about that. Chewy Chicken, if you really want to know what's going on, watch 100 Proofs the Israelites were white by Truth Vids. Oh, my. Chewy Chicken, what cartoon is that from? It's not from Cow and Chicken, is it? But I do believe that's an old cartoon that's from. Can't think of it right now. Guess it depends on what Israelites you're talking about. I don't care if you have cooties. I'll still snuggle with you. Well, that's really sweet. That warms my heart. I'm already feeling better. Is Trump looking for accountability for 2020 or a blueprint for 2026? Oh, there's an interesting question. I think the robot thing is ridiculous. They can't even get GPS right. Rerouting. Do you have problems with GPS? I don't really have too many problems with GPS, so I don't know. I mean, yeah, okay, I guess there are problems, but it's not something I really think about. Are you saying, because they say they're going to come out the market price when the Optimus robot hits the consumer market, and some people have gotten a test robot. I know Kim Kardashian was like, posing half naked with her Optimus Tesla robot. I mean, think about it like this. Again, it's going to be consumer based, and then trust. Like, do you trust a robot to clean your house? Do you trust a robot to do your laundry? Maybe you got kids and you want to have a robot to help, I don't know, watch the kids, prepare food for the kids. There will be a consumer demand. 110% there will be a consumer demand. For sure. These things are going to fly off the shelves. Now, whether or not you want one, that'll be your decision. But these things will be popular. For 10 grand, 100% people will buy robots just to have them clean their house and whatever. We're not laughing at you. We are laughing with you. Well, that's nice. I can laugh at myself, so we can all have a laugh. If you can't laugh at yourself, you're missing out on the greatest joke of all. Please have Dr. Roman Yampoliski on. He knows AI. I can't even touch the grass because there is none. I'm going stir crazy here. What, there's too much snow? Start digging. Stardust Solutions to start putting sun-blocking particles in the stratosphere starting in April 2026. Look it up. It's happening. Yeah, I've seen that, actually. But they're already doing it. It's just like now they're going public with it. So they've already run the operation. Now they're just telling you they're doing it. Wheeze Barney. We just need to have the Biden sniff Neuralink into AI, and then we can all rest assured that absolutely nothing will ever happen with AI. Jafeel? I don't know. Are you saying if we put Biden's brain in AI, nothing will happen because his brain is broke? I think that's what you said. Okay. A Biden joke. We can all laugh at a Biden joke. Now MAGA is back to saying conspiracy theories are crazy. Oh, yeah, right. When you join with Israel, you can't have people to be poking around conspiracy theories. I know, right? Yes. Well, MAGA is, it's just MAGA now. Whoever's left in it, it's just, and Trump doesn't even say MAGA anymore. MAGA is not even a thing anymore. But yeah, whoever is left there, it's just whatever Trump says. It's just, it's just a cult. That's all. So I got some of that coffee to brew for you later. Okay. All right. That's good. You almost had me with that. Do you think I like that flavor? Workademics. Bro, what has happened to Alex? He has really changed. I have no idea. I haven't watched Alex's show in years, actually. But definitely not since I've left. So I really don't even know. I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't pay attention. I see some of the commentary, but I was well aware of it. But I don't know. As far as the question is, I just don't know what you mean. But yeah, I'm not there anymore. Obviously a reason. Oh, and please get trusted moderators. Too many trolls in the chat. Hot and Sour Soup. Have Aaron Holte on. You will not be sorry. No, we don't do moderators. We have the chat is free range. Chat is free range. We don't do moderators. The only thing we will do is if somebody is spamming the chat with links or just copy and pasting the same thing over and over again, then we will boot you. But other than that, it's total free reign. We don't have mods. We're not interested in mods or censorship. What color frequency are we both on? Purple. Feel like I'm on the purple frequency today. Oh, look at this. Owen Schroyer's boyfriend. That's very nice. I can bring you some chicken noodle soup tonight. I actually doubt that. Jordan Walker. Brett Cooper did not steal my foreskin. Owen did. That's the problem. Whatever you put into the super chat, Ron Burgundy Schroyer will read. So congrats, you got me. Moist dry hump. If we get snatched up and sent to the gallows, two things they'll never be able to take from us, our humor and our faith. God bless, brother. Great show. Thank you. Plenty of J ads on faux news. Well, yeah, we all see that. Uh-oh. Owen Schroyer's wifey and Owen Schroyer's boyfriend are getting into it now. Who wins that fight? I don't know. They could be the same person for all I know. Who knows? Ken Rose with the piece. Thank you, Ken. Also not happy about you putting down our queen, Thick Minaj. Don't disrespect her dump truck. I thought I was neutral. I thought I was fair on it. But did you guys know this? I couldn't believe this. So she's not even an American citizen. She's not even an American citizen. And do you know what happened after Nicki Minaj was parading around the White House? Trump gave her a gold card. And now she can become a citizen. So I guess it all makes a little more sense after that, huh? 7 years sober by the grace of God. Well, congratulations, brother. Definitely sober is the way to go. I always bought a 30 rack of Busch Light. Busch Light? Oh, nobody at the party would touch my beers if it wasn't a Bud Light. Solid strategy. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Busch Light, not a fan. I was a big Busch guy. Let's see. For me, it was, we liked either Keystone Light or Bud Ice because it had the highest alcohol content. Those were the beers that had like 6.8 alcohol. The others were like all 3.5. So if we could find Bud Ice or Keystone, was it Keystone Ice actually? I think it was Bud Ice and Keystone Ice. You could get those at like 6.8 alcohol. So, that's what we were trying to get the most of it. But no, at my parties, it was the parties we went to, it was like 30 racks of Natty Light, 30 racks of Bud Light. Those were the party beers. And then if me and my friends wanted to, sit down and enjoy each other's company, we liked Busch. We liked Busch bottles specifically. This is when you're, young and stupid and poor. Latina girlfriend is Gen Z and she only drinks coffee and tea. The media hated Brady and Belichick for having MAGA hats in 2016. There you go. Again, they use their vote as a political statement. It's ridiculous. I'm over the rigged Commiewood promoting Super Bowl and NFL. It's ridiculous. Roger Goodell and Texans would say Jerry Jones ruined the NFL. Banner Freeborn. Well, it depends on what you mean by ruined the NFL. Because the truth is the NFL is as popular as it's ever been. And as far as the on-field product is concerned, the NFL is still king. The NBA has been ruined. The MLB has been ruined. The NHL is the only league that's really remained consistent. So you either love hockey or you don't. But the NHL is really the only league that's remained consistent. But no, the NFL is still king. So you might not enjoy it anymore. And honestly, the Super Bowl is the worst game of the year, actually. If we're being honest. The Super Bowl is the worst game of the year. Because it has the most TV timeouts. It has some stupid long halftime show that's not even good. And if there's any game that gets rigged, that one probably has the most interest in getting rigged. So I think the Super Bowl is the worst game of the year. I'm more of a regular season Sunday kind of guy when you can just throw the red zone on and not have to watch the commercials and just, see football plays. So, but I don't know. To say they ruined the NFL, I mean, it's the numbers don't hold that. Sent you a post on X, DM me. Plenty of blonde Latinas in Argentina and Uruguay. All right. Do with that information what you will. Latina girlfriend makes excellent chicken noodle soup. Well, that's good. Enjoy that. I could use some of that. Diversify. Buy gold, buy silver, buy Bitcoin, buy solid stocks. You left out your loving Trump account. Seattle by 10. Thoughts on CJ Stroud? Seattle by 10. Yeah, there's no doubt they're the better team heading in. But we'll see what happens. CJ Stroud came out and we called him CJ 4K because his rookie year, he had such a great year, CJ 4K, and he's really never recovered. He's really been on the trend down. And the Texans have just had such a good defense that they're successful because of their defense. I don't know. I don't know if CJ Stroud will ever be able to recapture the magic from his rookie season. Certainly hasn't yet. He has moments, but the Texans are competitive because of their defense and their head coach. So the wifey and the boyfriend are beefing again. I bet it's probably the same person that runs both accounts. Don from Orange County. Looking good, Don. Trump accusing everyone of crimes is a damn joke. Not one got a damn arrest. Exactly. And isn't that what's so strange? It's like, how are we the crazy people for demanding arrests when Trump is the one saying they committed treason? Trump is the one calling them criminals. Trump is the one that said they stole an election. And so we're sitting here like, okay, where are the arrests? And then the MAGA cult members and the cheerleaders are, you're not MAGA. You're a liberal. What? You guys are brainwashed. You guys are useful idiots. E. Raymond Capt found proof that the early Germanic tribes were descended from the Israelites, taken into captivity by the Assyrians. Jews are Esau. Adam King said something similar to me after I had the TKO, which I got to say, it's been a couple days now. It's had some time to simmer. It wasn't really the best debate, honestly. It wasn't really the best debate. But I think that is actually one of the best KOs in any debate ever. Honestly, can you think of a better knockout ever in a debate, in a political debate? That is honestly like a top knockout for like an official political debate. Now, you can go into all of my different debates and street content and probably find something that's a little more punchy. But as far as like, this is a debate platform, this is a moderated debate, that's like a top debate knockout of all time. I really think so. The debate itself is kind of like, it's not one of the greatest debates ever. But I think the knockout was one of the greatest knockouts of all time of debate history. Honestly, I think that I do. That's how I feel about it. Because it was the whole lead up and then the knockout. It was a Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope. But no, Adam King said something similar to me post-debate when we were talking. He had a different angle, but he said something similar, and it kind of shocked me. So it's funny to hear you say the same thing. I'd never heard that. Mr. Dot, the Jesuits run the show, and the Freemasons write the script. You know, I keep hearing about the Jesuits running the show, and I just don't. I've never been convinced of it. I've been hearing it for years. I don't see them anywhere. And maybe, I guess that's what you're saying is because you don't see them, they run the show. So maybe that's the point. I just don't really buy it. But see, everybody wants to think that there's one group that runs everything, and there's multiple groups, and then there's shadow groups, the bloodlines of the Illuminati, all of this stuff. But the one thing that is undeniably true, and everybody can see now, is that Israel runs the political world. You can't make it almost in any country in the world politically unless you go kiss the wall. So that is undoubted. But that's just one part of the world. That's just like one aspect. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on. Just think about what the landscape would be in a regular society if most poverty NFL franchises brought in Condoleezza Rice back in 2015. Bills would have been in a better spot with Trump than Pegula. I feel like, where are you getting these ideas? What are you smoking? And can it help me feel better? EDC. Hi, Owen. I just wanted to say that I enjoy the show. I can see the lightness in you since you left InfoWars. You seem a lot happier. Bless up, bro. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, I'll say that, you know, there's probably some truth to that. I'm not going down that path of, you know, explaining myself, but there's some truth to maybe I'm a little lighter or whatever after leaving InfoWars. But, you know, the whole thing was so misrepresented, folks. I got along great with the crew. I'm still friends with the crew. I still love everybody over there. I'm not in some dark place. Just all of that is totally ridiculous. And when you see somebody do that to you, it, you know. But the truth is, it's nice to finally do what I want to do and not have any pressure, not have to think about any brand, not have to think about, well, any brand other than myself, I guess, but not have to think about, I mean, when you work at, you know, a corporate news network and, you know, describe InfoWars however you want, but that's a corporate news network. It's a network. When you work at a network, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of things that come into play. So it's just freeing to be able to do your own thing. It's very freeing. I finally get to do it my way. I don't have to worry about somebody busting, you know, into the studio and, you know, so it's really freeing. You know, anybody that's run a business knows it's a lot harder to run your own thing. It is. And in fact, I'll give you an example. I'll tell you, I made a mistake today, and I think I'm going to blame the brain fog because I'm sick. But I made a mistake today. We were supposed to have an Ask the Doctor show earlier today, and I screwed up my schedule. So we had to reschedule it. And so when you run your own thing, you run your own thing. There's a lot of pressure that comes with it as far as there's so many different things you have to do. Whereas if you work at a network, there's a bunch of people that work with you and help you and make things easier on you. And all you got to do is sit down in the chair and do your thing. So now that I'm running my own thing, I got to handle all the business. So I got to handle all the different business that goes on. And that, you know, it opens up more opportunities to make a mistake. And so I made a mistake earlier today. I've been overwhelmed dealing with business stuff, dealing with legal stuff, still doing all the normal prep for the show. And I made a mistake, and I got my schedule mixed up with the guest. And so you make a mistake, you made the mistake, you pay the price. Really, it's the first. To me, it's a big mistake. I don't like mixing up schedules. I don't like wasting somebody else's time. It actually really hurts me when I do that. That really frustrates me. I'm really upset with myself for screwing up that today with Dr. Diaz. But you know what? You own it. You make the mistake. You try not to make it again. But it's just nice to be able to be totally in charge. So I'm just totally in charge of everything. A lot of pressure comes with that. But to me, it's been totally worth it. Pittsburgh bad. I got 1 day, no beers after 11 straight years. I drink Mill Beast Ice, Milwaukee Beast. That was the cheapest beer we could get. Beast. That's funny you bring that up. Everybody calls it Beast. That was the cheapest beer that you could get, at least in St. Louis. And we had this one local store. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom. We had this one local store in my neighborhood, tiny little store. It was really just a gas station that had like a closet. And they had one fridge in the closet. And I think it was like Milwaukee Beast was the only beer that they had. And the guy that ran it, I don't know if it was because he was so foreign. He was Indian. I don't know if it was because he was so foreign that he didn't realize he was selling to high school kids or if he just didn't care. But it was like, if there were no other options, we knew we could go to this, gas station, convenience store and buy as many 12 packs of Milwaukee Beast as we wanted. It's disgusting. It is gross, but it was like, it was always there if we needed it, but it was the most disgusting beer, but it was the cheapest beer. And that convenience store owner would always sell it to us. So, look, drinking is bad for you. It really is, especially beers. Beers they're just not good for you at all. And the older you get, the worse it is for you. You'll feel better. It might be tough the first couple days if you're really trying to get sober. But eventually you'll just feel so much better. I was a big Bush guy. Oh, you set me up. You set me up. I can't believe you. That is not what I said. That's what I said about them. And now you set me up. I was never a fan of Bush. I was never a big Bush guy. I'm not even a little Bush guy. The real Emperor Palpatine. We are all animals. We're all human animals pretending to play a game called society. Some are breaking the rules and cheat. We can't forget that. Are we still playing? Well, I think we are a higher consciousness. You know what? Here, I got a conspiracy theory for you. Are you ready for this one? I don't think we will witness this. Our grandkids might. If you're older, then I guess, you probably already have grandkids. If you're my age, I'm 36. I think I'm 36, right? I don't think we'll witness this. Maybe our grandkids. I actually predict someday animals will start to evolve, but it's not going to be like they're actually evolving. I'm not telling you I believe in evolution like that. I'm saying they've already started to run these studies about how to communicate with animals. You may have seen this. They claim they've mapped out a communication map of how animals communicate. Now, I would say that there's probably something to that. I predict that eventually some technology will come out and they will claim, whether it's like a chip in an animal's brain or like a voice translator or something, they will eventually have a world where you can talk to animals. There's my conspiracy theory for the day. And that's like right out of Futurama. Now, I don't know. I don't think they've claimed in this study that they did where they claim to have mapped out animal communication and they can translate what animals is saying. I don't think that they claimed that means the animal can then understand you. There does seem to be, if you've had a pet, you probably feel like you can, talk to your pet. There's some level of understanding there. There will be a day. I don't think I will see it. I think it's probably still maybe 50, 100 years out. there will be a day where animals are talking. Pets are talking, at least. They'll give you a pet translator, or they'll put a chip in a pet, and you'll be able to talk to your pet. There's my crazy conspiracy theory for the day. How do you like that? Feel better soon, so we can get back to baby making. Well, I don't know who you're doing baby making with, but it's not me, as far as I know. So that's weird. Interesting. We should be making babies. I should just start making babies. Who's down? Tay from Florida. Austrian painter 2028. We will get Owen in a boxing streaming event. All right, I'm down. I'm ready. Somebody said I should box Tim Walls and I would lose. Yeah, okay. Shabbos had to log out before the tears ran. The 9/11 thing really got him. That's the one that really, he fled after that. Getting someone to sign off is def a win for you. Oh, it's a knockout. So it's honestly, it's a knockout. Libertarian Goth is currently following me on X. Watch out for the replies. Crosses over both my worlds, Owen. I'm not sure what you meant by that. I'm sorry. Tay, get those numbers out of your username. Oh, boy. Brianna Morello's fam is from Argentina. No, I don't believe that's true. Don is back. Trump, we're going to lose the midterms. Cue the Georgia stole the election story. I wonder how much of this is red meat, reactionary, political leverage. I don't know. We'll see. I think we'll see. I think we'll know pretty soon. Tash Lusta. Screw the satanic globalists and go Pats. Feel better, Owen. Longtime fan since your first days at InfoWars. Happy to see you do your own thing. Thank you. Natty Ice was our beer. Not by choice, though. Natty Ice. Man, you could chug Natty, though, couldn't you? You could just chug Natty Light. Rip Bob Weir. Is that a new thing? We did it, guys. We did it, guys. We made it through the show. We even went overtime. Oh, we're not even done yet. I'm half Anglo, half Slavic. Blue-eyed babies, though. We need more. I think we need more blue-eyed babies. I'm willing to fulfill the mission, I tell you. Gregory Wright, no comment. Well, okay. All right, then, no comment. All right, guys. We did it. We got through the show. We even did some bonus time for you. How about that? The host that gives you the most. Right here. Right here, guys. Appreciate everybody coming in today, sticking around. 21-hour break. Owen Schroyer Report, Friday version, returns tomorrow. God bless. Godspeed.